Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday, week 9, college football season. Welcome, Coast to Coast College Football pregame tailgate show. I am your illustrious host, Uncle Shally. To the top left, my Buckeye brother from another mother, soon to be Papa Buckeye, Mr. Cottrell Simpson. How are you, sir?
I'm feeling good, man. Buckeyes are on the bye this week, so you get to really just enjoy the full landscape of college football without having too much skin in the game. So it's a good Saturday for me.
Good. I got to wait all night for my rivalry game, but that's all right. Top right corner, Mr. Alex Elmore, Mr. West Coast. No eye black today. Slacking.
Not slacking. I got to give my skin some time to breathe. All right.
Mr. got put on the couch last night. Mr. Alex Elmore, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm good. I'm good, but I'm just glad that you called him Papa Buckeye and not Daddy Buckeye because I would have had something to say about that. But, man, it is officially football weather in Oregon. Today it's gonna be pouring. The wind is blowing. The leaves are falling from the trees. It officially feels like fall, and Ducks have a home game today. It's going to be raining in Autzen. Even though they say it never rains at Autzen, it's going to rain there today, people. Just accept it, all right? But no, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk some college football, talk some news, talk some polls, talk some upcoming games and recaps, and I'm excited to get going.
You saying football weather in Oregon makes me feel like it's 0 degrees because that'd be only fitting for, one, the Oregon O, but two, it would also be symbolic of the number of national championships that you guys have. So,
and we're off.
We all know the O is
dog like that one.
O is a letter, okay, not a 0, which is a number. I wouldn't expect someone from educated in Ohio to know that, though.
Alex, that's a good comeback. I like that one. Not gonna lie.
I mean, the only thing I know about it is one, and that's the number of championships I'm currently sitting on since we've started this show. I mean, Bill, I know you can relate to that. It's 1. I have 1, you have 1, and Alex has 0. So
didn't you hear? Having a national championship is so 2024. All right. Having none is the new. It's so hot right now. Okay.
Having none is just your program's history.
Jesus.
Everybody
woke up feisty today.
I'm like,
Jesus.
I'm not feisty. I'm just here to have a good time. Control's just picking on me, man.
All right. Well, now that the slander's over, we do have a good show for you today. We're going to break the huddle as always. We're doing a little coaching carousel because there's more and more jobs opening. There's a lot of big names that are going to be out there floating around that are either going to go from one job to another, or maybe some old names that have been out of the scene for a couple years come back. We'll see. And then obviously we have recaps, previews, and pick 'em and eliminator. So as always, we will be up against the time wise because we try to bring you as much content as possible. So we're gonna get going. So Alex, break the huddle. Take it away, sir.
Shotgun, DC right, flip 90, dig on the center. Ready?
Yes. All right. Well, here we are, folks. Welcome to another episode of Break the Huddle Weekly, where we break down all the biggest college football news from the previous week and get you guys all caught up before games hit the screen today. First off, we're going to start with maybe not the most pressing news, but it's a pretty big deal. SEC referee suspended. Veteran SEC official Ken Williamson has been permanently suspended from officiating conference games. The decision to remove longtime referee comes in an immediate wake of an SEC review of 11 complaints against Williamson and his crew during the Auburn versus Georgia game earlier this month. According to sources, 9 of those complaints were validated by conference officials. So just to kind of everyone at home, just kind of break that down a little bit for you. Ken Williamson is an official, longtime official. He already announced earlier in this year he was going to retire at the end of this season. He has had issues in the past, but now because of the abundance of issues in one game in particular, they just gone ahead and suspended him from SEC play. Like I said, he looks like he is going to be retiring from officiating at the end of the year anyway. Is it a checked out situation? With everything that's going on, is it a gambling situation? I highly doubt that, but who knows? Cottrell, Bill, what's your initial opinions when you hear an SEC official has been suspended?
Cottrell, you can go first.
So for me, like I look at that Georgia Auburn game, and it smelt fishy when I was watching it. It kind of seemed like, Georgia was getting a lot of calls there. Auburn had a ton of momentum in that football game, and even that touchdown, even the touchdown call that got overturned. And I know there's more that goes into it than just the officials that are on the field there, but in the moment, like, there's no way that you can't call that a touchdown. And I'm sure that was one of the plays that ultimately got reviewed there. But as a whole, like, if you actually watch that game, it did feel like something was just off there. And this isn't just a, one-time thing. So you say, like, it could be, him being checked out there. To me, I think this is more so a, like, pattern behavior. Because if it was just the one game, it's like, all right, they were off this game. Maybe, they'll get it back together there. And I don't know what the official report was, but for me, this feels like this was like a repeated pattern there. And of course, I got to throw my Buckeye spin in there. For you guys that don't know, Ken was a part of the staff of the Clemson-Ohio State game back in 2019 when they reversed the worst non-fumble call in college football history. So I already don't like the guy because of that. I always see the clips about, Justin Ross not fumbling, and it still being one of the worst calls I've ever seen to this day, bias aside. But for me, though, just watching that Georgia-Auburn game, definitely felt a little funny there. So good for the SEC for actually stepping up and saying, hey, we're going to just nip this in the bud before, we really get down to the thick of it before, because there's so many teams right now in the SEC race that are bunched together with one or two losses there. So these games are really going to start to matter down the stretch here. So good for them for saying, hey, he's not meeting the standard. We gotta put him on the bench for the rest of the year.
So the fact that action was taken on this leads me to believe that it was really bad, because I feel like we hear about this stuff all the time. We always hear about coaches complaining about referees and, in post-game news conferences and stuff like that. For the complaints to be lodged and for the SEC to review them that quickly and be like, yeah, you know what, 9 of these 11 are legit. We got to do something. That makes me believe it was pretty egregious. I guess I would be curious to see, who was throwing these flags, like, on his crew. Obviously, I know with him being, the head ref, it's his final call. But that being said, too, if things are happening right inside of, right in front of the line judge or the side judge, and they're making calls and they end up being wrong, it's a little bit, I guess I don't want to say it's unfair, but I mean, I guess he ends up taking the fall for being the head of the crew. But I guess they're all suspended from the SEC. I don't know if they'll be able to go work other conferences. I don't know how exactly that works, because usually when crews are assigned to a conference, they work that conference all year. So be really curious to see where this goes from here. I guess they don't have any, like, sort of, appeal process or anything. I don't know how that works. I wonder if they do. But
I mean, honestly, if you're him though, like, you get suspended for the rest of the year, cool. But, like, you're already old anyway, and I'm sure he wanted to go out on his own terms. Like, I'm sure this is embarrassing and all that, but, like, he's gonna have his money still. So, like,
I get it, but is that, but, like, that would just be my point, though. Like, is that how you want to go out? Like, everybody's like, oh, your last year you got suspended for sucking. Like, that's not how I would want to be remembered anyway. So,
and as far as I know as well, this is just strictly for SEC versus SEC matchups. So, like, if hypothetically when Bama plays Mercer down, end of the year, I don't know for sure if he can't ref, like, those type of matchups, but I know for sure, like, the ruling was, like, SEC matchups, like SEC versus SEC. But that part it is a little unclear on. Alex, do you know?
Bill, I'm not actually sure about that one either. But just to kind of, for Bill, just so you know, man, the two most cited plays that resulted in this action weren't even flag throwing plays. One of them was an apparent touchdown run by Auburn quarterback Jackson Arnold near the goal line, where the replay suggested he crossed the plane before losing possession. Officials ruled a fumble. And then the second most cited play was, I don't know if you remember, but when Kirby Smart appeared to signal for a timeout late in the game, and officials gave the stop despite them not having a timeout. Those were the two plays essentially that
bad.
had the biggest complaints. So it wasn't even a flagging issue. Like kind of like how you were like, oh, I wonder who's throwing the flags. They should be disciplined. Well, this was definitely a crew chief decision on both of these calls.
The Kirby Smart timeout call was so bad. Oh my goodness!
Running down the sideline. Oh, I was just clapping.
Timeout. And then he gets the official, and they're like,
"Isn't that a penalty? Like it is in basketball though. Like if you try to call one and you don't have one, it's a flag."
Well, Kirby Smart said that he was clapping, not trying to call timeout, and the official said, "Oh, okay." Or something. It was something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't read the exact details, but
it was. And I actually think they had a timeout, but like it was late, and they were the game was always tight. So like he didn't want to, like he wanted to burn the timeout there, but after he got all the way over there, he was really combining two things. So he was trying to call the timeout there, but then also I believe Auburn's defense was like clapping to like simulate the snap count or something like that. And so he was also trying to bring that to the referee's attention there. But by the time he got over to the ref, he was saying like, oh, like, the clapping. They were like, oh, so you didn't want a timeout. And so at that point, he's like rolling with it. He's like, no, yeah, I was just clapping. Like I was saying like, yeah, they're clapping. So like Kirby was really trying to tell the referees two things. But then he realized he can get away with the non-timeout call. So then they were like, oh, okay, well, Kirby said he was just clapping and he didn't want the timeout, when vividly he's running down. You see Kirby Smart running down the sideline. He's not running down and tell you that somebody's clapping. So it was really bad. And I completely forgot about that part of it. But 100%, that's a really bad call.
Oh, it sounds like it's pretty warranted then. So too bad for him.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he's been reffing for 41 years, 40 years, 21 of them for the SEC. So he's a longtime official. Obviously, Cottrell even has memories of him from 6 years ago.
Justin is right. I don't forget.
Honestly, now that you reminded me that he was the one that blew the game for Ohio State, he might be my favorite referee, to be completely honest with you. But no, anything else as far as SEC referees being suspended? Well, actually, quick question. Do you think that this sets a precedent? Do you think this is a good thing or a negative thing? I personally think this is fantastic. I think this kind of puts in the forefront of other referees' minds that, hey, if I make mistakes, I can be reprimanded. I can be held accountable.
My thing is, I think this particular instance is good. My bigger issue is I am never going to not hold the NCAA accountable. So yes, each conference has their own set of guidelines for their officials and things like that. And it's great that the SEC is officiating, like policing it this way. But when we have a bigger issue there, what about, like, let's say the Big 12 has a conference, like the Big 12 has referees and they're doing the same thing, complaints, they fall on deaf ears. I know the NCAA is not going to do anything. So while, yes, I think this is great and this is a great first step, I want the NCAA to be accountable for something when things aren't going the right way.
Well, you just mentioned NCAA and accountability in the same sentence, so I know you're either drunk or on drugs this morning. So,
Bill's trigger word has been mentioned.
Fact two.
NCAA.
Two in the same sentence. But I will say this: I think I actually agree with what Cottrell said. I opened by saying what I said. I think it's a good thing that I feel like we hear about this a lot and you never really see any kind of follow through or, again, like repercussions for these crews. So the fact that they took a guy who has literally been with them, you said, for 21 years doing SEC 41 games. Well, I thought Alex had been 21 with the SEC.
Oh, yeah, he'd been reffing for 40, 21 in the SEC. Yeah.
So I would venture to say he's probably the most senior official for the SEC. For them to sideline him, at least, to Cottrell's point, it at least shows me that the SEC is taking it serious. How bad would it have to get if other conferences don't, kind of take the same measures? Because again, the NCAA is not going to get involved in this. I just know they won't. But I think it's definitely good for the SEC crews. I would expect to see tighter games today. With definitely more kind of clear cut. If not, we're covering our ass type calls. And we'll see if there's any kind of trickle down effect to the other conferences.
Cottrell, any closing statements before we move on?
No, let's move.
All right. In other
Move
in
it.
other big news, Oklahoma finally installs padding around their stadium. For those of you that don't know, Oklahoma's end zone and the stadium walls are decently close. And here on October 4th on 2025, Oklahoma was playing a home game against Kent State Golden Flashes. Oklahoma wide receiver Keontez Lewis, I believe he caught the pass for the touchdown.
Yep.
And then his momentum took him through the back of the end zone and collided headfirst into an unpadded brick wall. The picture down here, you can't really see it very well. That's my bad, but that's him strapped to a straight board to stabilize his neck and back in case of further injury. Honestly, the fact that this hasn't been an issue in the past more often is pretty crazy to me because it looks like a hazard. The second you look at it on camera, it's like, well, that's gonna be an accident waiting to happen. So what is it? They're going to be adding padding is being added to the brick walls behind both end zones, as well as the sideline walls around the benches. And they're supposed to have it in place before their game today against Ole Miss. There was some padding in the corners, but the padding that they had was not sufficient for protecting players in the most hazardous of areas. So obviously, in my stance on this is that it's about damn time. Whose idea was to put a brick wall 5 feet behind the end zone? That's my question. Control Bill, what are you guys thinking about this?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this because me and Contrell are kind of in the same boat here, and a lot of the SEC schools are. You have to remember the foundations for a lot of these stadiums you're seeing are 100 years,
1800s.
100 years old at least. So you're looking at, you look at Sanford Stadium, like it's all brick. It's just you don't see it a lot because they have the hedges. You look at some of the other stadiums. Ohio, I don't know how old the Horseshoe is, but it's not new. Michigan Stadium's damn near 100 years old, and that has all brick around the bottom. They obviously have padding up, but you look at a stadium like Michigan State Stadium. There's practically no room on the sidelines in that stadium. Like if you go out of bounds too fast, you'll slide right into a wall. A lot of these stadiums are really old, and they just continue to add on to them and build them up, for bigger attendance. So I'm not saying that's any excuse to not have proper precautions in place for the safety of these kids, especially as we continue to keep going. These kids get faster and stronger, and they're going to be doing things at a faster rate, including hitting walls, unfortunately. But I also think there's just a lot of they don't. It's a bad reason not to do it, but they don't want to cover up a brick wall with a bunch of padding and make it look weird. But that's obviously what Oklahoma's going to do. We had to do it about 10 years ago because we had the same problem. And then it's funny because once you get used to it, you don't even notice it. But a lot of these stadiums are really old, and they were constructed a long time ago, and they were not obviously constructed with, quote unquote, player safety being the number one issue. So I think you'll probably see this more and more become more of a thing in this off season, where I think a lot of schools will probably go back and look at things, and do a little things of tweaking. But there's a lot of schools, like I said, that are kind of hamstrung with what they have in regards to you can't make major changes. The only thing you're really going to do is put padding up because you can't move the foundation of the stadium and make the playing surface bigger. So, good for Oklahoma. Do we have an update on the player?
I believe he had a concussion. I think he's obviously stable and all that stuff, but I believe they just classified him with a concussion. I don't know what his timeline is like, if there's more to that. But I believe that was the initial report coming out of it.
So he just got CTE. He's fine. I'm just kidding. No. So, I think I don't think any school wants to see this happen and see somebody actually get really seriously hurt. So, like I said, I do think probably by the end of this year, early next year, any school that's probably got a smaller playing surface, I think you'll see some retroactive, stuff done with padding.
Yeah, I think if anybody hasn't added padding and has this sort of hazard, at least behind the end zones, man. Like I said, you don't have to put it along the sideline and all that stuff because there's plenty of room on a lot of sidelines for the benches and stuff. I'm not saying cover everything, but at least behind the end zone, that was a 40, 50-yard stretch, put some padding up. I guess just to me, it seems like common sense, but who knows? I'm trying to see if I can find any update on him, but I'm not really finding anything.
So he's not playing. He's not playing today. I believe he tried to play against Texas, then tried to come back this week, but he got ruled out, and they're expecting him to play next week against Tennessee.
Okay, well, that's not too bad. I mean, that's a lot of time to miss, unfortunately, but hey,
Yeah.
safety first, man. Next up, our last topic of Break the Huddle this week, and that's going to be the state of Ohio is voting on NIL for high schoolers. High school principals, excuse me, are around Ohio will be voting next month on proposed rule changes to allow high school athletes to profit off their name, image, and likeness. The Board of Ohio High School Athletic Association unanimously approved an emergency petition to vote on this situation. The vote will be held November 17th to the 21st. I know we won't take too much time on this as we have talked about this in recent weeks, but this is moving pretty fast. It's through the state of Ohio. Do you think that if Ohio approves NIL for high schoolers, that this is going to start a domino effect across the whole country?
100%. It is. I'm not saying every state's going to do it, but you're going to see some states definitely adopt this. And as quiet as it's kept, like Ohio is 1,000% a top 10 state in terms of high school football and like the talent they produce there. Of course, like it's not like Texas, Florida, California, but like after you get outside of like those big three, like Ohio is 100% like in that next group of discussion for that 5 to 10 range there. So I do think this is going to be a monumental thing. And ultimately, if it's decided on, I do think more athletes ultimately coming from these different states will push for this and use this as the precedent for it. The other interesting kind of tidbit with this is that there's actually been a what is the like restraining order kind of deal where like the previous policy that was in place, like that stay order or whatever, is actually been put on right now. So the kids can actually earn NIL money right now up until that vote that's happening in November. So you can essentially like if you're Jameer Brown, who was the guy who ultimately brought this case to fruition there, like he can sign NIL deals and things like that and make money for this time period, which is kind of wild, especially considering like in Ohio, this is week 10 of the high school football season. They're heading into playoffs. So you can really find a way to capitalize on some money heading into the playoffs here. Of course, you want it to be more long term, but it's just an interesting time frame of this right now. And these voters will actually, the principals and that the board of the OHSAA will actually be able to see potentially how much or how the process works, because the kids are able to actually make money for the next few weeks here before that vote happens.
Justin, I saw your comment about Oregon having it. Do you know the parameters in which it works, or just a general idea if there's limits on it, or if it only can be certain instances? I'm just curious.
Bill, it's crazy that you asked that, because I was looking it up after Justin said that as well, and this is insane. I didn't know this, or we didn't know this, but there's only actually 6 states that don't allow NIL for high schoolers,
and Ohio is one of them.
And it's Alabama, Hawaii, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Wyoming are the only states that don't allow NIL for high schoolers.
I am actually stunned that Texas allows their high school kids to make NIL. I know football is huge there, but I'm stunned because remember, Bill, you make that face, but remember that they were behind the ball when NIL dropped for the college standpoint. Like they were, that year and a half like behind us, which is why Quinn Ewers ultimately decided to go to Ohio State before leaving and going to Texas when NIL was available. So that's why I say I'm surprised that they are allowing the high school kids to make the money now, because they were behind when it first came out.
Because they're too busy spending money on all the other crazy shit they do down there. That's why.
Yes, some states like Texas have restrictions. I'm trying to find what those restrictions may be.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, because Texas has not been, as much as you would think like, oh, just throw money at the kids. Like they seem to be somewhat against that ideology or just figuring out how to do it the right way per se. So,
shoot. These are actually pretty crazy. Like, for example, California, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Florida use a 3-strike policy where if a student violates the NIL rules 3 times, they could lose their amateur eligibility completely. Like, so
But if they
some of
have,
these rules are crazy.
but if they have, I mean, do you have them in front of you real quick? Like you can go over them real fast, like what some of the rules are.
No, these are just like it's like it keeps like it's cherry picking states. In this article that I'm reading right now, it's cherry picking like, oh, these states do this, these states do this, but like it's not giving me like a full rundown. It looks like every state has their own rules, and some of them have a 3-strike rule, some of them only have a 1-strike rule. But if they, it's crazy. I didn't even know that this was. I hadn't heard of any of this until this Ohio, allowing Ohio high schoolers to make money off of themselves kind of came up. I would never have guessed that so many states allowed high schoolers to have NIL opportunities.
Well, this is what we'll do with this. It's when's the vote for this? November
17th to 21st. Yeah.
All right. We'll circle back on this then, because obviously, I mean, it sounds the fact that they approved an emergency vote. I feel like this is probably heading in the direction that Ohio is going to approve this. So
I just got something here as well that said, and this isn't per state, but it's just some of the restrictions that can be out there. Athletes cannot reference or use their school's uniforms, logos, or facilities in these NIL activities. NIL activities are typically not allowed during the school hours, practices, or during official team events. And then, of course, like you have your deals that you can't do, like alcohol, tobacco, gambling, any adult entertainment, weapons, like stuff like that. So those are just some of like the general NIL restrictions that I saw, which I imagine that of all of that there, the most important one is probably going to be the during school hours thing, because you don't want these kids missing algebra 2 to go and shoot commercials and all this stuff. So I imagine that's the one that they're probably most caring about.
I would argue adult entertainment, but I digress. But
look, if it's illegal for the age of that you are to do it, you shouldn't be advertising for it.
For sure. But I mean, I think that one's easy though, because like as a parent, I would say most competent parents are going to be like, I'm not letting my kid go shoot a commercial for a strip club at 15 or 16. Like, you have parents that take care of that portion of it. I'm saying from the school standpoint, like I vividly remember, like I had from my high school football team, we had 7 kids ultimately signed to go D1. So like I vividly remember all the coaches and stuff being around the school. Like we had Mike Vrabel in the building. We had like Pat Narduzzi in the building. They would go around, pull kids out of class, talk to them, and, go through all that. So I'm saying that I think during the day where, of course, parents aren't around, and I'm sure if you're as a school, like, again, you have Mike Vrabel in the building wearing his Ohio State sweater vest, like you're like, oh, Mike Vrabel, you got full access. You can do whatever the hell you want while you're here. Like you're a celebrity around here, especially in Ohio. So I'm saying I think that is the portion where you got to be really weary of, kids not missing the school time aspect of it.
So a couple things before we kind of move on. I was looking through because I found a website, and I'll share it with you guys so we can look at it later. I was just kind of scroll. It says all the states like restrictions, like what they allow, what they don't allow.
Yeah.
And it was like California requires you to be enrolled or requires you to have a scholarship to a college university in order to do NIL. And then Texas.
I don't hate that.
Texas requires athletes to attend a financial literacy workshop in order to be eligible for NIL. So like those
Texas is don't sleep on Texas. I knew there had to be something with Texas.
That's great.
Texas loves their money. It's all the other stuff they like to do too. It's the other problem. But that's not a sports discussion, so we'll stay away from that.
Yeah. Then like there's obviously there's some for every state. I'll share it with you guys in the group chat, and we can discuss this when the results come down for the state of Ohio. But hey, it's I think it's great to know that so many states are proactive on this. And I always thought that high schools, hey, like it's just like having a job. You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference of someone working a high school star athlete working at Walmart and like posting, hey, I'm at Walmart come on down and
Alex,
shop. You know what I mean? Like
that is an excellent point too, because if you're competing at such a high level, like I know personally, like one of my friends, Dylan, he used to actually be on the network with us. Like his parents wanted him to get a job at first, but then they're like, hey, like you're going to college, you're playing college football, you're getting a free education. We don't even want you wasting your time, like, working and, getting your own money. Like, we want you to go and be ready to play at the next level so you keep your scholarship and ultimately get that full free education there. So it's a great point that you bring up. Like, this is essentially going to be a job for those athletes there, because a lot of them, like, as much work as you put in, like, even in Ohio with the weather being as crazy as it is, like football can be a year-round thing as far as training goes, as far as getting on the circuit and, going to camps and all that stuff. So I think that's an excellent point there too.
All right. So this is actually very intriguing. So like I said, I think we will all kind of look into this, and when we get back to the Ohio vote in a couple weeks, we can circle back and probably having a further in-depth discussion about this, because some of this stuff's fascinating, and I'm sure there's going to be one state out there somewhere that has a really weird rule, because they always do. So I'm going to try to find that too. So
cool.
Let's keep trucking here. Where we going next?
Well, to the Carousel, baby.
Carousel.
Yes.
Do we have Carousel music?
No Carousel music, but I do
Production.
have a graphic.
See, that's great. If somebody had music, the production show sucks.
I'll add music for you.
Afro circus, Afro.
All right,
go. Now
enough music.
Polka dot, Afro.
Now I'm going to start dancing. All right. Anyway, now we're going to talk about the coaching carousel. A lot of jobs opening up. A lot of big time names, like Bill kind of said earlier, that haven't been in the coaching game for a while. Maybe a coach out there that just got fired whose contract requires him to look for a new job. Who knows? Lots of big time stuff out there. But Cottrell, this is one of the topics that you really, and Cottrell and Bill, you guys, this is one of the topics you guys really wanted to touch on today. Where are we starting? How are we doing this?
I don't know how Bill wants to do it, because I'll let Bill run the show, but I got a full list of jobs that are currently open, and
you got it.
Boom, let's go. How many jobs open do you have?
Yeah, say how many you have here.
So on my list, I have 1, 2, 3, and these aren't all open, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got nine universities on here.
So some of those are stuff we think are going to be open.
Either we think are going to be open and or domino effect because their main guy takes big job.
Perfect. All right. You roll. You got it. Let's go.
All right. So first one up here, I got one that we've touched on before when the job first opened there. I got Virginia Tech.
For me, see, this is tough because the person I want to put in here, I think, is a perfect fit for another job if that job opens, because I think it kind of fits what he does. And that's James Franklin. I think James Franklin, I think Beamer coming out and saying what he said, I think kind of takes him out of the running for the Virginia Tech job. I wouldn't leave the SEC to go to Vatech. I don't think he's going to either, as much as he has the connection with his dad there. I think Vatech is a team, I've said it before, even during the Beamer days, minus the Mike Vick years, they were like 10-2 every year. And that school was ecstatic, and they were nationally relevant. That's perfect for James Franklin. James Franklin can go to the ACC and go 9-3, 10-2 every year, make an ACC championship game here and there, make a college football playoff every 3 or 4 or 5 years. I think they would be hyped. I think it's a perfect go in, fix it, change the culture. Being in Virginia Tech and that whole Beltway type of area, he recruits very well there. He did from Penn State. He recruited very well from Maryland and Virginia. And obviously he'll get kids from PA to go down there as well. I think it's a perfect job for James Franklin. I don't know if the other job's on the list, so I'm not going to say anything yet. But for me, this is a James Franklin job.
Yeah, I like James Franklin for Virginia Tech. I think that's a good situation to go to after the high stress situation he was in Penn State. I think Virginia Tech has seen what he's capable of. I think they'd be willing to give him a couple years to get the recruiting kind of on track. And obviously, like I said, we just talked about this a few weeks ago. how they're willing to spend money. They just gave themselves essentially a raise in their athletic department of, what was it, $250 million or something like that we talked about a few weeks ago, that they're going to be using to spend towards getting athletes to Virginia Tech. I believe they said it was like 60% of that money was going to the football program, as football brings in the most money to the school. Next up was basketball, so on and so forth. So I think Virginia Tech is a great spot for James Franklin. I also think that the fact that James Franklin's contract is kind of guaranteed money, that all he has to do is look for a job. If I'm James Franklin, I'm taking a nice little pay cut for my first couple of years at Virginia Tech. Let Penn State pay the additional salary, and you have the university use that money to get me even more talent or better coaches on my staff. So there's a huge opportunity with Virginia Tech opening up their wallet and their checkbook that would really benefit for a coach like James Franklin in his situation, where the college itself doesn't necessarily have to be the one paying him for the next few years.
It's funny because I've been on the exact same boat, like same wave as you guys here, but it's interesting that Shane Beamer didn't make the comments that he did. But the one, I think, little kind of caveat that you have to make there, while I don't think he's getting fired necessarily from South Carolina, I think you also do need to look at that. Right now, he is 3-4. Like, this is a team that has 4 losses already, and Beamer has set the standard there in South Carolina. Like, this is a team who was supposed to be competing of, making a spot in the college football playoff. And I know some injuries happened and, things like that. But ultimately, I think if this thing continues to go south, I think it could be a mutual agreement to kind of part ways there. And I also think that during the season, it's easy to say certain things to make sure your guys stay locked in and stay motivated. But then after the season, if, Virginia Tech comes calling and they say, hey, we want you to be the heir to the throne, I do think it's something that he is going to have to entertain, even if it is, leaving the SEC. And with that said, I have on here South Carolina because I do think Beamer will take the Vatech job pretty seriously. And so if that happens, I think James Franklin would be the perfect person to ultimately take over that South Carolina job, like right after Shane Beamer left there. Not necessarily a job that we have to talk about with South Carolina there, but I think those two names are going to be tied together through this carousel, Beamer and Franklin, however it goes there. Because if Vatech doesn't go with Beamer or he shoots them down, I think James Franklin's the perfect guy to ultimately go there.
So I think the Beamer thing was a little bit calculated on his part. And I think it was a good move. I think, to your point, I don't think there's anything saying he doesn't get fired. I agree with you. But I think him going out and saying publicly, I love South Carolina, I want to stay here, I think to the higher ups, it's at least like, okay, at least like we don't have to put in a conversation about going through this dance. Like, oh, do we have to give him a raise or extend him now? Because if not, he's going to leave. Like, he might have bought some goodwill and some time by just saying, hey, as long as I'm employed here, I'm staying here. So we'll see how that plays out. It could be interesting. I agree, because if they fall apart down the stretch, then he might not have a choice to stay in South Carolina.
Next one I have up here is one that recently became open, which we haven't talked about yet, and that's Florida. Billy Napier has been given officially the boot.
After a win.
After a win. But who do you guys see for this spot?
Good job today, Coach. You're fired.
You made us proud. Thanks for doing what you needed to do.
Bro, I said it Wednesday when you posted it in the group chat. I thought it was a joke because I literally didn't even go. I didn't even click on your thing. I went to ESPN. I was like, I swore they won yesterday, and I went down. I was like, they won 23-21, and then I was like, all right. Cottrell kind of alluded to, for me anyway, where I think this is going. This is his MO. It's a better job, no matter how you slice it.
He's not leaving. He's not leaving. Shut your face.
I know you love him. But this is literally to a T, the Lane Kiffin move. Like, literally, just like textbook Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's going to be the next head coach of Florida.
I don't agree with that at all. I'm so desperate for this not to be the case that I went into the vault to find who I thought was going to take Florida's job. And that's a guy we all know. Okay, he has great success in the SEC in the past. He's even a national championship winning coach. And every single week at the end of his press conferences, you're going to hear the words, "Go Gators." Ed Orgeron should take over that floor. He wants to get back into coaching. He's got a 67-47 overall record with a national championship under his belt. How can you not look in his direction? He's got SEC success written all over him. He was a great recruiter. He was I think Ed Orgeron is going to be. What are you looking at, Cottrell?
I mean, you say
he's a walking PR and like lawsuit nightmare.
You got to mix stuff up, man. He's looking to come back into coaching.
What, by banging students?
You say that his pedigree and things like that. Like, no disrespect to Ed Orgeron. Like, I'm sure he's a fine coach, but like, Alex, me, you, and Bill could have coached that 2019 LSU team to a national championship.
Go Gators!
And that wasn't even he inherited that team.
No, he's not, Justin. No, he's not going to Oregon State. He's not going to Oregon State.
I don't know.
See, I don't know if he goes there because that program is just a dumpster fire right now. But that being said, that's the type of school that's going to have to take a risk on somebody like Ed. Florida is not putting Ed Orgeron on that campus with all those co-eds walking around and just like waiting for like the fire to start, because that's what's going to happen.
Okay. Well, here's another.
I think. Listen. All kidding aside, I think you're forgetting like how bad the allegations and everything were when he finally left LSU. Like the mess that he left there. Like,
it's possible. I might be forgetting a thing or two.
You might be. And I don't think Florida's like, you know what? We'll get rid of Billy Napier and we'll hand the keys over to you guys. And I don't see it.
That's interesting. What about Urban Meyer? Do you think? Okay, first off, Cottrell, you're probably as an Ohio State fan in the group, but do you think Urban Meyer ever returns to coaching?
It's tough to say. I think he still has the fire to coach, but I think he does. I also think
though, like, heart.
I also think, well, that's
headaches.
I don't believe that that's like the full reason why he left there. But
shit.
But with that said, though, I think if his team stinks, like I do believe the headache part of it, because like that's been documented since his Florida days. But that job in itself there, like that is going to be a walking night. It's going to take 3 years to rebuild Florida. Like whoever gets that job, it's going to take 3 years to rebuild them. And like, I don't see Urban Meyer being a guy to trust the process. Like I think Urban Meyer has got to be a guy like that. I don't even know the school. Like if, for example, if Mike Elko goes and takes a job or something like that, and Texas A&M is pretty much ready built now, I think Urban could say, you know what, I can go take over A&M. But like Florida being a dumpster fire, even with having Lagway, like it's just so much to rebuild there. I don't think Urban would take a job like that.
Okay,
I don't think Urban ever coaches again.
I'm just saying Lane Kiffin's not going to Ole Miss, y'all.
Right.
He's not going to Florida. He's going to stay.
He's
going to stay at Ole Miss. He's not going to Florida. It's not happening. Lane Kiffin is Ole Miss.
I'll tell you this: Florida is a better job than Tennessee, and he was ready to jump ship and go there.
Florida's a better job than Ole Miss, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, but
I also have Lane Kiffin going to Florida, by the way. Report came out that he had to talk to his players about, the Florida job. Like I guarantee, like fly on the wall. If I was in that meeting, I guarantee he was just in the meeting saying, hey, whenever you do a good job, like teams are going to come calling, but we're not worried about that right now, guys. Like we got to focus on winning this week. We got to focus on getting to the playoff and having success. So we're not even going to talk about that. If people ask you about it, just don't talk about it.
And meanwhile, the room right next door is agents on the phone with Florida. Correct.
He's going to call a team meeting just to say, "Hey, we're not going to talk about it."
Absolutely, that is Lane Kiffin.
Bro, you're in chapter 2 of the Lane Kiffin playbook right now, bro. I'm telling you,
Lane Kiffin's not leaving. But I will throw another name out at you guys and tell me what you think. What are we thinking about Brent Key from Georgia Tech? Is Georgia Tech obviously having a lot of success recently? Are they a flash in the pan where he should use his success to catapult up to the next level?
Yes,
or do you think he has longevity and that this is an opportunity that he should take?
This is
a senior.
Correct. This is correct. This is the situation where I want to say you got lucky. You obviously recruited kid, like you saw something in him, but you take the success of Haynes King and that team, and you bump yourself to the next level. That's exactly how college works, and as he should. I mean, we talked about the game last year with Georgia. It's one of the best football games I've ever watched. And they've been good this year. He's going to be a hot name. Anytime you can have success at a school where it's either deemed or perceived, it's really hard to or not expect it. You're obviously, he does that at Georgia Tech with one good quarterback. What could he do at Florida if we give him all the resources and he can recruit here? So yeah, I mean it's a logical conversation. That's how these guys. I mean, I hate to say it, but like it's how James Franklin got the Penn State job. He did that down in Vanderbilt with no resources and nobody gives a shit about the football program. What does he do if he comes up here with everything we can offer him and the Penn State name? That's how you get those jobs. That's exactly what you do.
I do think it's funny that no one here has mentioned James Franklin for that Florida job, though.
Mm-mm.
You think that's a good fit?
They are literally looking for
wants to win a national championship. Correct. They don't want a guy that's going to rebuild their program. They want a guy who is going to come in and say, "Hey, our goal is to win a national championship." And James Franklin is, of course, he's going to say that, but like I think they want somebody who is going to literally flip that program.
I think you could look at James Franklin, and I mean this sincerely. I think he's a great guy. I think he's super safe for your program. There's never been any word of any kind of allegations or impropriety or anything going on at Penn State since he's been there. I think he runs a clean program. He recruits very well. But at some point, you also have to look at the numbers, and the numbers are the numbers. Like he couldn't beat Ohio State when it mattered. He couldn't beat Penn State when it mattered. He couldn't beat,
Oregon.
Or
Twice.
And again, it matters, like because we compare the conferences all the time, but week in, week out, like if he goes in the SEC, it's not going to be any different than coaching in the Big Ten. He's going to play out. If he's at Florida, he's going to play Tennessee every year. He's going to play Georgia every year. He's going to play Alabama almost every year. If you're 9-3, but you can't beat those three teams, who gives a shit? Honestly, like they might as well just kept Billy Napier. Like it's at some point you have to look at what he did and be objectionable about it. No matter how much you like him or think a good guy that he is. He's a really good coach. He's not an elite coach, and I think Florida wants an elite coach.
Cottrell, where we going next on this carousel?
All right, so I want to keep it with the jobs that we know are officially open, and I'll start with this one. We're going to go down to the SEC. We're going to go to Arkansas. For this one, I saw it, and I think Mike Gundy is the guy to take over the Arkansas program. Guy that's going to bring them some grit, bring that attitude to Arkansas. Arkansas has proven that they want to spend money down there for NIL. I think Mike Gundy is a very safe option because that he can, essentially do the most with what's given to him. Like he's going to do a pretty good job there regarding that. But I think Mike Gundy be a good fit going to the SEC and try to give Arkansas a different kind of edge to compete with the rest of the SEC group.
So I will say this. Since what's-his-face has been there, they played really well the last couple of weeks. Has he taken his name out of it saying like he does not want the job full-time?
Oh, I doubt it. I mean,
okay.
Why would you do that?
I just didn't know if he was like, hey, I'm here to help out the program because I used to coach here and whatever, like, until you guys find a full-time job. I just didn't know if anything had come out saying anything like that. Because I think if he's in the running, then I think there's a chance they give Petrino the job. Mike Gundy's that's a fun name. Mike Gundy's personality in the SEC, that could be fun.
Love what you just said. He's a fun name. I'll tell you one thing. SEC isn't about fun names, Bill. Okay. He just got canned after 2 of the worst seasons in his coaching history,
And his
complaining about
After
the university's money.
overachieving for 20 years at a non-football school.
Overachieving during non-NIL periods.
No,
That
I mean
means
2022
something.
they were about to be in the college football playoff,
Yeah.
and that was NIL. So I mean, I can't say that. I just think that he also was, when your school says, "Hey, we're not going to give you any money. You got to keep trotting out Alan Bowman because he keeps coming back to school. He's 37. He's got 2 kids, a house, a mortgage.
It'll be in Oregon next year.
That's the best we got."
By then. Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's only so much you can do there. So I mean, I think if you're Mike Gundy, you go in and you say, "Hey, you give me a roster, I'll go out there and compete with the best of them. I don't give a damn who's on our schedule. We'll go 9-3 at worst if you give me talent." And I think that's enticing to a team like Arkansas.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna throw out a name there that hasn't been mentioned, at least for this job yet. But I really like SMU head coach Rhett Lashley. I think he's done, since SMU has gone to the ACC. I think that they said they were in the conference championship last year. Fantastic year this year. He's got Kevin Jennings, a young quarterback who I believe is a junior this year, or maybe a sophomore. I have to double check on that. He's still got eligibility left. So Rhett Lashley is a name that's talked about a lot when it comes to this Arkansas job opening. Obviously, he's still coaching at SMU, so he would have to leave there to take that job. But I think that Rhett Lashley has earned the opportunity to kind of step up in tiers, and I think Rhett Lashley would be the best coach for Arkansas.
So I don't hate that at all. I guess my question becomes, now that SMU's in the ACC, I don't know which job is better.
Really? You're thinking that SMU in the ACC is comparable to an SEC program?
Did it just, if I'm wrong, stop me. But did we not go over this last year with SMU? How they didn't SMU dump or commit to the next 3 years, like rebuilding every like football and athletic building and everything like on the campus? Am I wrong on that?
Southern Millionaires University.
Yeah. So do you have a better? I'll say this: how much of just saying that I coach in the SEC, if you take that part out of it, which program do you think you have a better chance to win at, and probably have better in the next 3 years? Probably have better resources and access to money out of those 2 programs.
Well, I'll actually tell you in just a second. I definitely see what you're saying. As far as the facilities go, I do think Arkansas would be willing to spend more on players, though. And so it's really just kind of like, what is your priority? Is it having the facilities to lure guys to your school? Again, maybe lure is a bad word, but to get guys to commit to your school, or is the Arkansas NIL pocketbook and the facilities that are already existing, is that good enough for you? I think that's really the question, because Arkansas is spending $11.5 million right now per year on NIL.
Okay, but I would say this. He went to the college football playoff last year with kids that he recruited before they were even in the ACC.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking that SEC pedigree and what they could probably offer him to pay him, I think it's going to be something that will entice him.
What they can offer to pay him, yeah. I mean, I get that portion of it for sure. I agree, though. I mean, I do think it's very comparable, but I also think too, like, Clemson is down. Miami is good right now, but Miami can be beat. We saw that last week with Louisville. So, like, I would rather see those guys on my schedule than seeing Texas, Georgia, Bama, LSU every single week.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like a winning thing, like, I definitely agree with you. Like, hey, ACC is an easier route every single year, but like, as a coach, like, do you want easy, or do you want easier, or do you want to be the best?
I get it.
It kind of depends on where his mindset's at. Okay, I'm comfortable at SMU. I love Texas. I love the state of Texas. I make great money. My family is happy here. Or are you looking for that stepping stone to get you to that next job? Is he, like, I guess we don't know what his what's the word, ambitions are. You know, is he content and happy with staying in college? Does he want to work towards the NFL in the future? Because if his goal is to get to the NFL as a coach, SEC is the right way to go. So it really just depends on, I guess, what his ambitions are with his coaching career.
I'll play devil's advocate there, though. Good. He's 9-3 at SMU every year, making the college football playoff every other year. Or he goes to Arkansas and he stalls there at 6-6. Now where are you? I mean, you're not getting NFL jobs off of that.
True.
I don't think. I think the job, and I'm not saying he's not a good coach or he couldn't do it, but the overhaul of that Arkansas program you would have to do to make them a perennial contender, to just even make the college football playoff every year with what you're going up against the SEC, I think it is an insane task. I think if I could sit in the ACC and go 9-3, 10-2 every year, like Cottrell said, Clemson's down. Florida State looks like they're going in a tailspin again. Miami's Miami. The rest of that conference is wide open. Like I don't know. I'd rather win. I'd rather win than just for the sake of saying I went to the SEC and I was okay, but at least it was in the SEC. Like I feel like if Arkansas was in the Big 12, like this isn't even a conversation.
I see what you're saying.
You'd be like, I'm staying in SMU. Like it's not even a conversation.
All right, gents, we got to move here. We're starting to park it.
It's your segment, Jesus. Let's go.
All right, so I'll go next one here. We talked about this one before, so I think it'll be pretty easy. And I think me and Alex are going to be on the same side here. I'll go UCLA.
Oh, what's his face is going there? Alex is losing his. Yeah, that guy, Will Stein.
Yeah, that guy.
Oregon's offensive coordinator is going to be no more. He's going to be the head of the UCLA football program.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, unless UCLA pulls an upset today and somehow finds a way to make some noise the rest of the year, then I would think Will Stein will be there on the sideline next year. Like I said, if they beat Indiana today or make it like a 3-point game, they play Ohio State later in the year and it's like a 1-possession game, they may have their head coach already in the building. But if, the season continues where they have ups and downs and it's kind of inconsistent, obviously they're riding a hot hand right now. But if that happens, I think that Will Stein will be on the sideline of UCLA next year.
All right. See, that was quick and easy. Go next one here because this is also a more recent firing. Go Oregon State. Justin, I hope you're still here.
He thinks Ed Orgeron's going to go to Oregon State. Personally, I don't know who wants to coach at Oregon State. I mean, that program is absolutely in disarray. I talked a couple of weeks ago about how it feels like the Civil War rivalry is completely dead with the trajectory that Oregon State is going down. I don't know who wants that job. They're probably going to have to give someone a first-time head coaching position, a first-time collegiate head coaching position there.
I agree, and that's why I got the perfect name for this job.
Oh, boy.
Name that we have not talked about yet. And that's Corey Dennis. Now, you might be asking, who the hell is Corey Dennis? Well,
who?
Alex, you gave this team a bunch of love a couple weeks ago. Corey Dennis is the offensive coordinator for the UNLV Rebels. UNLV's offense has been very prolific so far. He already has that West Coast, feel, knows how to recruit like that area over there. And I agree with you, Alex. I do think this is the perfect job for a first-time head coach because it's really not that enticing, and especially with them not being a Power 4 school, at least, at the moment there before the Pac-12 comes back, and, we'll ultimately see how that all shakes out there. But Corey Dennis is a guy who I think is putting up the numbers there. And the nice thing with Corey Dennis is, fun fact, his father-in-law is actually Urban Meyer. So he was the QB's coach at Ohio State for 8 years.
Here we go.
As well. So I think Corey Dennis is a name to look out for the first time coach at Oregon State.
I do like that comment, Damian. Mike McDaniel to Oregon State. If he wasn't going to be the offensive coordinator for 49ers next year, I would agree with you. But the 49ers band is getting back together with Saleh, McDaniels, and Shanahan. So I don't know if that's going to happen. The Ed Orgeron thing, he would be a character if he were to come to the state of Oregon. But there's a lot of talk around Brent Vegan or Vigen. I'm not really quite sure how you pronounce it. He's currently the head coach at Montana State. Bringing him up to Oregon State in the Division I level, I think that would be a good move. Kind of like Kachel and I are talking about. Like, I just think I don't think this is a high profile enough position for Ed Orgeron to take over. I do think that this is going to be a first timer. I am kind of leaning towards the Montana State guy, Brent Vigen. I can't pronounce it. Whatever. To take over that position. Vagine. But realistically, whoever takes that job, they have a hell of a job ahead of them. Obviously, with Pac-12 is coming back, which will help kind of grow that program a little easier. But I still think it's a long road ahead until it's competitive Oregon State, where 7 out of 10 years they finish ranked. I think we're a long way from that Oregon State.
All right.
Whoa.
My bad.
I think Oregon's going to lose both their coordinators this year.
No.
I think Tosh is going to go take the Oregon State job.
No, he would not.
Tough, gritty guy. Knows the land up there. Knows the land well. Need a guy like that to rebuild your program up there. You got to commit kids that are on the fence to come to your school. Get that energy back in the Civil War, just like Alex was saying. And he's going to be a guy that's going to be looking to be a first-time coach. When you run programs like that, you lose your coordinators all the time. That's how it works. I think Tosh DePoy is the next head coach at Oregon State.
That would be sacrilegious, Alex, if that is the case. You go
Money talks, baby.
Money does talk, but
in my mind, like, if money talks and job openings and all that stuff, but like, you take a job at Oregon State, that lets me know you were never fully in on my program. Because if you were fully in, you'd never even think about going to Oregon State.
Yeah, not to mention, like, you go from a possible national championship winning defensive coordinator to a 3-9 head coach at Oregon State. That is, which one?
Yeah.
Like, which one do you want? Like, just like
you
said,
would you want coordinator your whole life? Yeah.
No, but guess what propels coordinators to that next step at actually good programs?
Yeah, they go in the national championship this year.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then he could go to, and then he can take that coaching job.
Yeah, of a good school, and that's not Oregon State.
Like, all right, gents.
Next,
we're tabling that one for now. I'm not going to go over Penn State because we literally just talked about that for like 30 minutes last week after Franklin got fired. So I'm letting you guys know that job we're not talking about that one because we just did that one. I got two here though that aren't currently open, but
they will be.
I think there's a strong possibility that they will be after the season, and they are two big time programs.
Ooh.
One of them being Florida State.
That one's easy.
And the other one being Louisiana State University.
Oh, I thought you were going to add the other team I was talking about. But, all right, Florida State, I feel like we're going to agree across the board that no,
not with his health. There's no fucking way.
What do you mean his health?
His health.
If you can coach at Colorado, you can coach.
I know it's Florida. He'll be warmer all the time. It's better for his health.
Are you serious now? Look, you can coach at Colorado. You can coach at Florida State. Did you hear what you just said?
That's what I just said. Yes.
Colorado is playing terribly this year with his absence.
And Colorado just beat Iowa State.
Whoop-de-doo, an unranked Iowa State team.
Iowa
Congratulations.
State is unranked now, but they're favored against number 11 BYU today. Like, let's not act like Iowa State's not a good football.
They were like 12 until like their whole starting
corners.
No, look,
Florida
State is an easy decision. Gus Malzahn is already in the building. He'll be taking over
Jesus
the
Christ!
What is this next year?
You might as well team Mike Gravel. Yeah, like goddamn.
It's his first year at the program. We talked about at the beginning of the year how Florida State brought in their replacement for Mike Norvell at the beginning of the year when they hired him. I said it earlier this year. Gus Malzahn is the answer at Florida State.
Let me tell you something.
There's two guys.
If they fire Mike Norvell and they do not offer that job to Deion Sanders, there will be revolt within that school. There is no way in hell with what he did at Colorado, if we're being honest.
Yes, thank you, Justin.
Only two good players. With two good players, there's no way you're not bringing him back to recruit that school and coach at that school. What did he say?
He said that
Doesn't matter what
Iowa
happens to them.
State.
So why are they favored today over number 11 undefeated number 11 BYU?
The only
Justin's
reason they're
agreeing with
favored
us.
is because BYU. No, he's saying that Colorado beat Iowa State because of their secondary injuries, which is why Iowa State lost 2 games in a row.
That's why you said they're not ranked. That's what I'm saying. When they were healthy, they were the number 12th ranked team in the country.
But Colorado didn't beat a ranked, healthy Iowa State. Or ranked, yes, but not a healthy.
So if they beat BYU today, then what? Are we going to act like they're a good team?
If they beat BYU today, it's because BYU doesn't pass like these other teams do. They're more of a run-centric team. So what? The Iowa State's issues are in their secondary. So like the last couple of weeks, they've been facing some passing teams that have been able to beat them.
So what's wrong with Iowa State's offense? They couldn't score on Colorado. They couldn't score enough to beat them.
I didn't watch that game because who's watching Iowa State, Colorado? You know what I mean? Like, who's watching that shit? But no, if we're being honest, look, I don't think Deion Sanders is going to be healthy enough to be coaching at all in 3 years if his health continues to decline the way it is. So, like, are you going to really offer a job to a guy that may or may not be able to coach in 2 or 3 years just for the off chance that he might?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
This Florida State is a win now job. If you say we get Deion Sanders for 3 years and then he retires or whatever, then you absolutely take that opportunity to do so, because regardless of what happens, like Bill said, I think recruitment wise, like don't forget Travis Hunter went to Jackson State over Florida State because Deion was there. Like, so Deion will have all of the resources. Like, obviously Colorado hasn't gotten like a slew of 5-star kids. Like, I mean, I know Julian Lewis is one of them there, but that being said, if Prime goes to Florida State, you already know your starting quarterback for the next 3 years, and it's a former 5-star in Julian Lewis. Like that right out the gate, you don't have to worry about quarterback. And Prime is big on using the portal, and Florida State has a ton of resources to get kids out of the portal if Prime wants to go get them. So I think that job would be a match made in heaven, and Florida State would have the opportunity to potentially compete for not only a college football playoff berth, but national championship, I think, within this 3-year window with how Prime attacks the portal and how much money Florida State would be willing to spend.
I think he likes how much freedom he had. I think he likes how much freedom he has in Colorado. I think Florida State's a lot more pressure. And with your like I said, I'm sure we've all had people in our lives that have been extremely sick and had health concerns. We know how that can do to them and their body. You add the pressure of being the Florida State head coach as well with those expectations. I'm just telling you that's not going to be a good fit. That's all I'm saying.
And if it's not Deion, it's Jimbo Fisher for the return.
Oh.
Who do you hate more, Bill? Gus Malzahn or?
Probably Jimbo, to be honest. I hate that man.
Just
I could try. I feel like you got like what, one more?
No, the other one was LSU. Brian Kelly has not been fired, but they have 2 losses already. They take on A&M, which I know we're going to preview later on in the show. And, I mean, that could easily be a loss. I haven't looked at the rest of LSU's schedule, but like if the wheels start falling off, LSU has been an underachiever pretty much every year that Brian Kelly's been there. I could see him getting the can if they want to get out and turn that program into a true contender, depending on how this year shakes out. So if the LSU job does open, anybody who comes to mind that you think can take over that job?
Billy Napier.
Oh, brother. He gets to step up after getting fired.
Right.
I think Hugh Freeze is going to get fired. He'll become available. That's an interesting name.
Why would LSU hire somebody that got fired for doing a bad job?
Why not? I mean, they hired Brian Kelly, and I guess he had a couple good years.
He didn't get fired at Notre Dame. Yeah. Like they hired Brian Kelly because they were like, "You've done a good job at Notre Dame. Let's bring you in." I
think Jimbo Fisher might be a good answer to LSU, though.
I hate to say it, I kind of agree with that. You obviously have a name, Cottrell. Cottrell's sitting on something here.
Cottrell's got something. He's just waiting for us to shut up.
I think they go the young route. I think they get the young up-and-coming coach. I think Kenny Dillingham would be the one that comes to mind there. He takes the big jump. You bring Levitt with you to LSU, and I think he's the kind of guy where if he comes in and has success, Dillingham would be your guy for, I mean, unless he wants an NFL coaching job, he can be your guy for the next 20 years. Like, there's not many jobs that are better than LSU and in college football as a whole there. So I think if they go the young route, they could potentially have their guy for the foreseeable future.
I don't hate that. I mean, I like Dillingham. I think Dillingham's gonna be one of those guys. I think he's gonna have, I don't want to say pick of the litter, but I think he's gonna be on a lot of people's boards. I think if LSU comes open, he'll be on that. I think he's probably on the Florida board. If they, if it doesn't go to Lane, he should be on Penn State's board. I think he'll be on Auburn's board as well if that job comes open as well.
Well, that is it for the carousel. Bill, what was the other one that you wanted to mention?
Auburn, because I could see James Franklin going there.
Okay. And I actually have Auburn on my list here. I looked over them, and I got Brian Kelly, next coach at Auburn.
Jesus.
I think the only other job that I was thinking might come open is possibly Michigan State.
Yeah, I
I was looking at that, and I almost put them on the list, but like, granted, he's been underwhelming for sure, but like, this is only year 2, and Michigan State was a shit show when he got there. So like, I feel like you have to know going in, like, there had to be like hey, this is going to be a 3-year plan, or this is going to be a 4-year plan, or a 5-year plan. Like, we need time to turn around this program because it is in complete disarray.
I don't disagree with you, but I think it's the fact that they don't look any better this year than they did last year. Like, I agree. Like, you're like, all right, we're to give you 3 years, but like, we should be seeing improvement. They have Michigan tonight. Like they get blown out tonight. I mean, they're 2-5, I think. And again, they haven't played. I mean, they lost to UCLA. Like, they got smacked at home by UCLA. Like, they're not playing well. Like, they have not. I don't think they look any better this year than they did last year.
Let me see. 1, 2. Yeah, they're 3-4 right now. Michigan State. Yeah, 3-4, 0-4 in conference play.
And who do they have? Who do they have after us?
They have so they got Minnesota, Penn State, Iowa, Maryland.
They're not beating Iowa.
They could win 3 of the 4. They could go 0-4.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think they beat Minnesota. I think Penn State's a toss-up. I think Iowa beats them. I think Maryland beats them. I think that they maybe go 1-4, including today's Michigan game.
I think the only team on there definitive that I think they lose to would be Iowa. But like, outside of that, I think they have the possibility to win 3 there. But like I said, I also could see them not winning another game.
Yeah, so they've got to become bowl eligible if he wants to save his job. He's got to go bowl on this year, especially with this, with so many coaches going to be available.
If he gets fired, maybe he goes back to Oregon State.
I was thinking about that too. And I was thinking the reason I want to talk about Michigan State just for like 10 seconds was I think that we talked about Virginia Tech being a good fit for James Franklin. I also think Michigan State might be a good fit for James Franklin as well. The chance to play your previous school that you may feel wronged by every single year.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I think he would be stability there, but I think one of the advantages he had at Penn State, especially before Oregon came in, Washington, USC, it was very easy for him to recruit because, granted, he was going against Michigan and Ohio State for a lot of the same kids, but he was still a really big fish in kind of a small pond. Michigan State, no matter how you cut it, is not a top 5 program in the Big Ten anymore. I don't know how that works for him because I feel like that job, he's not going to recruit quite as well, and that job's going to require a little bit more coaching. And I think we all agree that's not really where his strong suit is. So I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. But Control, I think that was a successful coaching carousel. Outro music now playing.
All right, let's get into the recap so then we get into previews and
I don't know how I feel about the new graph. I changed the numbers up a little bit, just trying to mix it up a bit. I don't know if I like these. I don't think I do.
Boo.
I'm going back. I'm going back to the old
Don't
ones.
fix it if it's not broken, Alex.
But I'm trying to make it better.
Well,
but okay.
Right.
Anyway, where are we starting, Bill? Where are you taking us, Maestro?
Bottom right, Holy War. BYU 24, Utah 21. Good game, kind of crazy game. One of the craziest like fake punts I've ever seen.
Facts.
Just wild. Just started running and nobody went after him. They're like, oh, there he goes. But good game. Obviously, it's everything you want out of a rivalry game. Like I said, I mean, you get good defense, good offense, trick plays. BYU 15th in the country, and we all thought they were going to fall apart when their quarterback got thrown out of school. Here they are. Big win for BYU. I know I'm assuming they're on the road against Iowa State today.
They are.
Yes.
They cleared that hurdle. I don't know who they have left, but it looks like they're kind of sitting in the driver's seat for the Big 12 right now. So, thoughts, recaps, opinions.
I mean, Bear Bachmeier is a gamer. Cottrell, go ahead. I just want to say Bear Bachmeier is a gamer.
No,
man.
I was going to say I really don't have much to say about this game because I didn't get to catch as much of it as I wanted to. Did see the fake punt, and I did catch up on the highlights and things like that. But it felt like Utah early on was setting the tone as far as this game goes. But BYU had enough to ultimately win, and I believe Utah was actually favored in this one as well. And people keep doubting this BYU team, but they keep finding ways to get it done. And Bear, you talk about him being a gamer. I think that this is a matchup where that absolutely shows that, and you really can't expect any more from a true freshman quarterback.
See, I know that I picked BYU to win last week. I know Bill picked BYU to win last week. But didn't you pick Utah, Control? Didn't you?
Yeah,
Weren't you Utah going to win this game?
This was the only game that I got wrong last week. You were 100% right, Alex.
Sweet.
I was
I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that one mistake. I'm going to rub it in your face.
Absolutely. But if
no,
I'm not mistaken, I'll wait till we get there. I'm
going to cut you. Look, Bear Bachmeier, I'm impressed. I think he still has some maturing to do in the passing game. And I think there were a few times where he maybe got out of the pocket when he could have stayed in there and kind of waited it out a little longer. But like I said, man, 13 for 22, 166 yards. He has 64 rushing yards as well. Dude did what he needed to do to make sure his team came out on top. And then obviously running back LJ Martin ran for 122 yards as well. And for me, I said last week that BYU's key to winning this game was limiting Devin Dampier. And Devin had a great game. I mean, he passed for 244 yards. He ran for another 64. He did his part. But unfortunately, the 2 turnovers by Utah was just too much to kind of overcome. I thought it was a fantastic game. The Holy War. And BYU has officially beaten Utah 3 straight matchups now. So BYU has kind of been dominating the series as of late.
Man, it's like they lost its luster. It's not even competitive. They shouldn't play it anymore.
Right? Same with the Civil War.
I mean, listen, I will say this, and I mentioned it earlier. You got to give BYU credit. We thought, the whole scandal earlier in the year, the star quarterback transfers out to Tulane. We thought this was going to kind of nosedive early for them, and it hasn't at all. Like I said, they're up to 15. They're making a push to go to the college football playoff this year, which is funny because they were kind of like my darlings last year when they started out 9-0, and then they kind of fell apart down the stretch. It might be a little bit of the opposite this year. I might have to get back on my Cougar tailgate here.
Well, Bill, just to give you an idea of what the schedule for BYU looks like the rest of the way. Obviously, they have Iowa State today. If Bear Bachmeier can throw the ball deep against that secondary, they have a chance to win on the road. He's a gamer, though. You're right. But next week is when the schedule gets a little tough. They got Texas. They go on the road to Texas Tech. Then they're at home against TCU, which TCU has had a really good year, really good offense. Then they got ranked Cincinnati, and then they finished the year off with UCF. So definitely going to be challenged the rest of the way. The Iowa State, if they had their secondary, that's a ranked that's a team that's worthy of a top 25 spot.
Don't give Iowa State love now.
No,
they suck. No, they suck.
Did you see how he just like he was nonchalant and tried to stuff that in? You see that?
They tried to sneak it in. Nope, they suck.
I said,
nope.
I said, if their secondary,
bro, he stayed monotone and everything. He was like, I'll stay with the secondary, a really good football team. Like, just not even like.
They are. If their secondary was healthy, which they're not. That's a cow. That's a
bro. The fact that you thought you were to get that past both of us is just. I'll give you credit. You got balls. I was just like both of us are sitting here not listening to you. Like just like. Alex just droning on, like whatever. Like
yeah, maybe I could just slide it in here. I throw some other teams in there. Sneak in Iowa State.
Yeah, rank Cincinnati and Iowa State if they're that secondary. They're really good.
I don't drone on. Jeez. Anyway,
no, I'm saying you acted like that's what we were thinking. Like we weren't paying attention to what you were saying.
First off, that's why I threw if the secondary was healthy in there.
No, forget that. Just don't even talk about Iowa State. They suck. We're not even secondary. Right. No secondary. Right. Quarterback. No quarterback. Iowa State sucks. Nope.
That Kansas State win at the beginning of the year was a fluke. It should be 4-3. Anyway, but then they have Texas Tech, TCU, Cincinnati, and UCF to finish off the year. So I think going undefeated is going to be a tough task. But I don't see why
where are those last three games at?
BYU is at TCU game is at BYU, Cincinnati game is at Cincinnati, and the UCF game is at BYU.
So I mean, maybe like what 10-2.
But that's the thing. Like 2 losses last year, they were out of the conference championship game, out of the college football playoff. Like I think they could only afford to lose one of those games, and it better be one of the ranked teams that they lose to. What's the standings look like right now in the Big 12? So we got BYU at the top, Cincinnati 4-0, Arizona State
lost last week. So
yeah, the top 4 teams are BYU and Cincinnati, both undefeated in conference, and then you got Arizona State and Texas Tech and Houston at 3-1 behind them. And then after that, you got a crap load of 2-2 teams.
Fighting Kenny Dillingham's, baby. I told you guys not to give up on him.
Fighting Kenny Dillingham's.
Bro, they beat a Texas Tech team down to the wire that didn't have their starting quarterback. Spare me. They tried to blow that game last week. They tried their hardest.
Will Hammond's going to start again this week. So,
speaking of blowing games, we'll go to the bottom left here. What?
Didn't Cottrell say how good Will Hammond was a couple weeks ago? Since we're talking about calling people out, Texas Tech got a backup quarterback in.
He was definitely good there, and he wasn't bad in the game against against Arizona State. But I'm not going to act like they had their starting quarterback in. We also said following that, there is no quarterback competition because Barron Morton, that's clearly his team because the performance that he put up the following week there. So I'm just saying I'm not going to excuse it, and I think Texas Tech did the right thing and actually sat their quarterback for another week to get him healthy. Unlike Oklahoma did and still lost the football game anyway. So I think Texas Tech learned from Oklahoma's mistake.
All right, where are we going next, Bill?
Like I said, speaking of blowing games, we're going to go to the bottom left corner. We're going to go Notre Dame, USC.
Hey, USC covered.
34. They did cover by half a point. They should have won by 14, but it's neither here nor there. I will say this. Notre Dame is consistent. I will say this. They have figured out the offensive part of the game. They are
that number 4 kid's pretty good. Let's give him the football.
Somebody on the campus was like, number 4 should touch the ball about 25 times a game and we'll be okay.
I think they just watched our show. We said it week 1. If you don't give Jeremiah Love the ball at least 20 times a game, what are you doing?
Facts, correct. I said at the end of last year too. Yeah. Don't understand it, but here we are. Between that and CJ Carr, they got the passing game going. It's a lot easier to throw the football when you got to put 9 guys in the box to try to stop number 4. I will say this. I'm not gonna get upset about it. I'm not gonna go on a rant or anything. I'm just telling you, they will probably get in the playoffs, and as soon as they play a team with a decent defense, they are gonna get just
Boat race.
embarrassed. They're gonna get boat raced. Um, when I say USC should have won this game by 14, I'm not kidding. Went back and forth in the first half. It was. I will tell you this: it was a very entertaining football game to watch. Not the cleanest by any means, but it was entertaining to watch. They went back and forth in the first half. Third quarter started the same way, and then USC had all the momentum, and then just started pissing all over themselves. They threw up on themselves at one point after that. It wasn't good. USC just literally offensively just fell apart. I don't. We didn't talk about it in the carousel, but again, I depending on how the rest of the season finishes out for USC, I think there's some heat for Lincoln Riley, but this is pretty much the last big game Notre Dame had. I don't see them losing anywhere else down the stretch. Don't even give me the ranked Navy shit. I don't want to hear it.
Undefeated Navy.
Let's see. If it came from one person, it would be you.
And you know what's coming from me.
But again, Notre Dame offensively, great team. Defensively, they are very. I don't know if I even want to call them average. And I think this is a big chance for USC to kind of get their season back on track after beating Michigan and losing the following week. Probably would have been ranked again. Would have stayed ranked, obviously, if they won this and went up the rankings and really put themselves, with a decent shot to maybe sneak in at the end. But like I said, they just did not execute down the stretch at all. Bunch of really, really bad, stupid turnovers. And you can't give teams a good offense to short fields, and they paid the price for it. So they lost by 10.
Detrell, take it away, man.
I mean, I think this is a game where USC definitely did not do themselves any favors in this one. But on the flip side of it, though, I don't want to just put the onus on USC. I do want to give Notre Dame their credit there as well because, of course, Jeremiah Love had a phenomenal game, but their backup running back Price had a great game there as well. Notre Dame did a really good job of establishing the run and moving the ball consistently at will against that USC defense. So definitely want to give Notre Dame credit there. And Bill, you say that they won't be able to be competitive against a team with a semblance of a defense there. I think that as a whole, if Notre Dame has the ability with their rushing attack to control time of possession, if they just play inside of those means, I think that they will be able to play against really pretty much anyone in the country. However, I do still have a lot of question marks about that defense. And I'm not even necessarily saying that, Notre Dame could be a team that can win the national championship. But when you can run the ball as effectively as you do, like I said, you can limit possessions, you can control the clock there. And then defensively, there's still a ton of question marks there. But if you run the ball effectively and you get into that game where, it's just possession, you're playing the possessions game, I think Notre Dame can find themselves potentially in a good spot there. But I think it's a good win for that group. I still think they are overrated. I mean, bumping them all the way up to where they are now. And this is their best win so far this season. I am, of that same mindset as Bill, but I think this is a good win for them and definitely something they can build on the rest of the way.
Well, I mean, you guys kind of said it, but Notre Dame last year was a top 5 defense. This year they're ranked 64th in total team defense. I mean, that's telling to why they're having such close games. And USC secondary extremely improved since the last couple of years. We used to talk about how their secondary was a sieve, just like holes all over the place. I really think that the secondary held up really well in this game. CJ Carr only passed for 136 yards, 16 for 26. I thought they defended the edges well, but just Notre Dame's rushing attack, giving the ball to Jeremiah Love, 228 yards, 9.5 yards per carry. It's like USC had a good front seven the last couple of years with their secondary being the weak spot. Now it feels like the roles are kind of reversed. I feel like they just can't quite put that defense together all the way. But yeah, I mean, if you look at rest of Notre Dame's schedule, I mean, it's a cakewalk. I mean, they have they have bye this week, I believe. Yeah, they got a bye this week. They got Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford to end the year. Pitt being the only team that they face besides Navy that has a winning record at 5-2. This is what I said earlier in the year. Notre Dame is going to find a way to get into the college football playoff. And unfortunately, the rest of the schedule, unless Pitt can find a way to stop that rushing attack, Notre Dame is going to be playing late December in the college football playoff. Where are we going to next, Joe?
Let's go. We'll go top right. We'll go Georgia, Tennessee. I feel like this is a shorter one. Alabama, Ty Simpson continue to roll. It's a good game for the first half. I feel like Alabama really found their footing in the second half with their offense. Really started moving the ball. Tennessee's just in that weird spot this year for me. I feel like for periods of games they look great, and then they kind of go into lulls, and that's a tough way to play in the SEC. There's just so many good teams that week in, week out can just come out and put a good game together. Alabama just too much. They continue their winning streak. It's another ranked win in a row. I think it's 5 in a row. It is like I said, Alabama. I think after that week 1 loss, everybody kind of thought the sky was falling. And they've done nothing but regroup and play great football since. I think they've separated themselves as the best team in the SEC right now. It's they look really good. They look like they're going towards. They're just going to keep getting better and possibly peak at the right time. At the end of the year. So another big win for Bama. Tennessee again kind of hangs in that 11 to 16 range all the time and goes up a couple spots, and then they lose against a ranked opponent and they go back down. I think they got to find some consistency. Josh Heupel's got to find something where they're just a little bit more competitive week in and week out, because that's what you have to be to win. To win in the SEC.
I think this was the first. Oh, go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
No, you go, man. You're good.
For me, this is the first week I felt like that Tennessee actually missed Nico. And I don't say that because Joey wasn't up to par. I say that because Nico's ability to just kind of be an X factor in the sense of using his legs to make plays, and also, using the arm there as well. Like I said, Joey isn't necessarily, he wasn't the complete issue in this one, but he did have a bad interception in this game that I remember. And then as a whole, though, like Alabama's offense, you could tell that they're really starting to put it together. Ryan Williams, his first half was really good. You could tell they made an emphasis to get him the ball. And then Ty Simpson has been playing like a Heisman Trophy candidate. Ty Simpson has really had it going so far this year, and you have to give them a ton of credit for having him ready. And regardless of how talented that team is offensively, he's been doing everything he could to put them in a position to succeed there. So definitely want to give Ty Simpson his credit in that one. But for me, I thought this felt like the first game where you want a superstar at quarterback to try and combat what the other team is throwing at you.
Yeah, I mean, it just Alabama was able to put a full 4 quarters together, and they looked good from kickoff till the final whistle went. Tennessee had spurts of looking good. They had some of their offensive drives looked like, hey, this team is going to get it together and roll. And then the next drive, Alabama would make a change, and Tennessee would, their Tennessee's drive would kind of spur out around midfield. Joey Aguilar, I think he looks great. 268 yards. He's trying to do a lot with his arm to kind of put his team over the top. I feel like they should have ran the ball a little more. They had a lot of success on the ground, especially early in the game. Deshaun Bishop had 14 carries, 123 yards, 2 tuds. Like I said, Alabama, though, I'll tell you what, even though they are 5 straight ranked wins with rushing defense, the front seven needs to do better against the rushing attack against some of the teams they have coming up, because teams are so far able to run all over Alabama. And come college football playoff time, if they make it SEC championship time, that's going to be exploited. So if Alabama wants to have a successful season, which I know that they do, they got to shore up their front seven and find a way to stop teams rushing success against them. But Alabama's on a roll. Ty Simpson's on a roll. He's the leading candidate for Heisman right now. You got South Carolina today. They have LSU next week, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois. What the hell? And then Auburn to end the season. Eastern Illinois in November. What are you doing, Alabama?
Alex, are you new to?
I know that, but
SEC?
I forgot that they had Eastern Illinois on their schedule. So
they play an FCS school. They play an FCS school leading in a rivalry. It's the dumbest thing in the world, but that's going away soon. So
I'll say this is the last year for it, correct?
Yep.
About damn time.
I just forgot that Eastern Illinois, those poor guys.
Well, let's get on the old plane and head over to Nashville, Tennessee. LSU 24.
Alex.
Vanderbilt 31. Mr. Pavia. Another, you want to talk about a gamer? That kid's a gamer. Tough, he's gritty.
He sucks. Right. He keeps to win.
What?
I said he sucks, but he keeps finding ways to win.
I don't think anybody ever said he sucks.
I do.
Well, I don't know why you're on the show. But huge win for Vanderbilt. And again, LSU, not ideal. We know for at least they still have at least Alabama left on their schedule. Who they play
today?
Yes, I mean they lose both those games. That's 4 losses right there. That might sink Brian Kelly by itself. But not to get back on that. Let's get back to the team that won the game and deserves all the credit. Again, back and forth game. This is the one I got wrong. I really felt LSU have it be by fluke or something crazy to pull this game out, but Vanderbilt was just a little bit better. They were a little bit better everywhere they needed to be. Like I said, Mr. Pavia, quarterbacking for Vanderbilt, just made play after play after play. And a lot of them were, big third down conversions, a lot of crucial times in the game. The kid just did what he needed to do to win the game. Hats off to Vanderbilt. They're going to be a fun team to watch come down the stretch now. It's Vanderbilt. We talked about BYU earlier. These teams can sneak in somehow. They're going to get I feel like they're going to get a lot of kind of, a lot of love from a lot of people that maybe don't have a team in the college football playoff. They're going to kind of be the darling. So it's going to be really fun to watch them come down the stretch. I think it'd be great for the program if they can make it. A lot of football left to be played, but again, at the beginning of the year, I think a lot of us would have picked LSU to be a loss for them, even at home. But another big win, so they move on and keep on trucking towards the finish line here. But huge win for Vanderbilt.
Whoa. Well, it's Vanderbilt. Honestly, I feel like this was a Brian Kelly kind of loss. I feel like the loss is on Brian Kelly's shoulders on this one. In the fourth quarter, the first drive led to a field goal to bring them within 1 touchdown. And then the last 2 possessions of the game, 3 and out. Fourth quarter, down by 7 on the road. You cannot have back-to-back 3 and outs to end the game. You got to have better play calling. You got to find a way. By the fourth quarter, you should know what on your play sheet is working and what's not. And they had every opportunity to take that game and take control, and they just could not do it. Even their defense was forcing Vanderbilt to 3 and outs. 2 of their last 3 possessions. Obviously, Vanderbilt was able to run out the clock with a 56-yard drive over the last few minutes of the game. Like I said, LSU's defense stepped up, forced them into 2 3 and outs to start the fourth quarter, but their offense just could not put it together in that fourth quarter to get anything out of other than that opening field goal. Vanderbilt earned this one, but they're going to have to continue to earn it if they want to join the ranks of the college football playoffs, or if they want to join the rank of the teams that are college football playoff worthy. For example, today they play Missouri. Then they got Texas next week, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee on the schedule still. So 3 of those 5 games are home, but that's a pretty tough schedule to end the season. So we're going to really find out if Vanderbilt's for real or not.
It was Mizzou and who else?
Missouri today at Vanderbilt. Then we got at Texas, at Auburn, at Vanderbilt, Kentucky at Vanderbilt, and then Vanderbilt at Tennessee to end the season.
I mean,
today's going to be a tough one.
The way Texas is playing, I don't think there's any. I don't think I would be shocked if they went up there and beat Texas.
It's the Tennessee and the Missouri game today for me that I think could cause some problems for them. But we'll preview that here in a little bit.
For sure.
We got one more game to go, right, Bill? And then we can get on to previews and Mountain.
Is Cottrell not talking about that game?
Oh, did we
no, I mean, Vandy.
I just stopped listening when he talks. So
Vandy
was the better team. I tried to tell you guys that. Never pick against Vandy at home too. Crowd was rocking, and I mean, really not much you can say. I mean, it felt like this was going to be a game where Brian Kelly kind of let his team down, and I don't want to put this necessarily on him, but Garrett Nussmeier has not been anything close to what the expectation would be for him coming back as a senior and still making mistakes and not leading these drives there. And LSU's defense could not get off the field. Shout out to Vanderbilt and their aggressive nature. Believe they went for it a few times on 4th down. One time I know early in the game they got stopped in their own territory on 4th down. And then Diego made a hell of a play later on in the game on 4th down to get them a conversion and get more points up on the board there to help close it out. But Vandy's a tough team, man. I'm looking forward to seeing them roll here, and I'm sure I'm going to talk about them more when we go through previews. But Vandy's tough.
All right. Last but not least, the big game of the week last week, Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin led Ole Miss for a couple more weeks at least. Went down to Georgia. They found out. 43-35. This was I'll describe this. Kind of a crazy game. I feel like Ole Miss is kind of in control, especially in the first half. I kept flipping back and forth to this, but I feel like they were up. Georgia would go down and get down to 1 score, but then they couldn't stop Ole Miss, and Ole Miss would go right back down. And it was 21-7 at one point. And then the script kind of flipped in the second half. It was, Georgia finally got ahead, and then Ole Miss would go down and score to keep it close. But Ole Miss's defense just fell apart in the second half. Georgia started doing whatever they really kind of wanted in the run game and the passing game. Too much offense, not enough defense, which is a little uncharacteristic for this year's team. Ole Miss has played pretty good defense up until last week's game. So I don't know if that's Georgia just being super efficient and really executing well, or if this is the start of something else for Ole Miss. But another big win for Georgia. I heard Kirby Smart say after the game, this isn't one of his best teams, but it's one of the teams that really plays together as a team compared to some of his teams in the past. So I don't know if that's a good thing to hear or a bad thing to hear if you're an upcoming opponent. Then Ole Miss, like we mentioned earlier, rumors kind of swirling with Lane. Held a meeting. Really curious to see how they bounce back. So could be an interesting weekend for them. But like I said, big win for Georgia. Continue to climb. Looks like we're on the old Georgia-Alabama collision course again.
For me, this game felt like a tale of two halves for sure. First half, Trinidad Chambliss was doing everything he wanted to against that Georgia defense. And it felt like at halftime, Kirby Smart went in and said, hey, we have to make this kid uncomfortable. He cannot just keep being able to scramble out and make big plays with his legs, with his arms. Like, we have to make him not be able to run. And we want him to throw the ball from the pocket and make him uncomfortable. And, I think Georgia's defense did a really good job of that in the second half. While they didn't actually sack him, you could tell they definitely changed the way that they were defending him. And you could see a visible difference, from the first half to the second half. And I think as a whole, Georgia's offense, this was probably their most complete game. And I think it's easy to say that when you see the 43 points scored there, but I also look at it from an efficiency standpoint in the sense of Gunner was damn near perfect all day. Hit every throw, and the offense, especially in that second half, was moving rather consistently there. Gunner also had it going with his legs there as well. And this was the first game where I really feel like they put an emphasis on getting Zachariah Branch, who I think is their best skill player, the ball. He had 8 catches in this one. It seemed like Gunner was targeting him a lot on third downs when they needed some crucial catches. So I think this was a really good job from Georgia to have the adversity in the first half there with not really knowing how to stop that Ole Miss team, but really buckling down in that second half and getting the job done.
Look, honestly, the story of this game can be told in 2 stories. Quarters 1 through 3, Ole Miss had the ball 5 times. Ole Miss scored 5 touchdowns. In the fourth quarter, when they needed to continue and extend drives and get a couple extra points on the board, punt, 3 and out punt, 3 and out punt, 5 plays, turnover on downs. Their play calling was absolutely immaculate for the first 3 quarters of the game, and then they just started playing it safe with their offensive calls in the fourth quarter, and essentially allowed Georgia back into this game. I feel like Georgia didn't win this game more than Ole Miss handed this game away. I was able to watch the fourth quarter, or I was able to watch the second half of this game. Ole Miss dominated the third quarter, beginning of the second half, and then the fourth quarter was like a completely different team as far as how they looked on offense. And Georgia was able to find success and ultimately won the game. But like I said, I think that Ole Miss was the better team in the first 3 quarters of this game, and I thought that they would walk out of Georgia with another W they'd be 7-0 going into this week. That's why we love college football, man. The games are never over, and Kirby Smart just outcoached Lane Kiffin down the road.
I mean,
down the stretch.
It's almost like you kind of knew that was happening, but unless you have too much faith in Lane Kiffin for whatever reason, I mean,
I like that,
Alex.
I mean, this was the
prototypical.
Would you like Lane Kiffin, who's the head coach of Oregon?
If we didn't have Dan Lanning, yeah.
Dan Lanning takes a pro job tomorrow. You hire Lane Kiffin. You're confident there?
Yeah.
Oof.
I like Lane Kiffin. He's in a tough SEC conference. He's in the top 3 to 5. He's in the top 3 every single year. Oh my God, I can't say every year, but like he does good things with Ole Miss. I like what he's doing. What are you freaking looking around for, Cottrell?
He's in the top 3. Lane Kiffin's been at Ole Miss for how long, and they haven't sniffed the college football playoff?
That college football playoff was only extended last year. Only 4 teams got in before that.
They haven't sniffed an SEC championship. I mean, I don't know what you want from me. Top 3 to 5 in the SEC. I mean, whoop-de-doo.
Well, in the SEC, and with the 12-team college football playoff, like that's where you want to be because you have a chance. They were one game away last year being in the college football playoff.
And why weren't they in it? There was a 12-team playoff last year, and they were 1 game away. Why weren't they in it? Because they dropped the ball that they had absolutely no reason of doing to Florida.
You're living in the past, Cottrell. Living the present.
That's the Jackson Dart interception game, just over and over and over again.
Yeah.
All right, we got to move in here though. Let's go to previews this week. What do we got? Games of the week. We only got 4. We got a couple other bigger, like I said, rivalry games, but not necessarily ranked versus ranked. So, where are we gonna start here? Let's go. We put Florida versus Memphis on here. All right, we'll start there. We'll start there.
Well, if we're being honest,
this is an important game. This is
Florida.
It is. I know why it is. So we will start there. AAC. Memphis coming off a loss last week. I know that because they ruined my parlay. But
UAB.
yeah, UAB my ass. Yeah, terrible.
Hey, fire your head coach, man. Wonderful things happen.
Funny story about UAB. We were watching a football game last week, and Audie is like watching it. She's like, "Who is Oob? Like, what school is Oob?
Who are these Oobs?"
I was like, "No, that's UAB." I was like, "Wait,
Blazers.
first off, why would UAB sound like Oob? If anything, it would be Wob."
Yeah, Wobs. The Wobs.
Wob. I love it.
I had to educate her on UAB in their school there. So fun little tidbit there.
Kudos to you for correcting and making fun of an 8-month pregnant woman.
How dare you?
Hey, no one's above the law around here when it comes to college football, baby.
I'm surprised you're alive. But we're gonna start with the Utes. Just kidding. Memphis, South Florida Bulls. Oh yeah, I love you. This is a big game because this is going to have ramifications for obviously the Group of 5 team that's going to get a berth into the college football playoff. Like I said, Memphis coming off a terrible Shally parlay crushing loss last week to the Utes. South Florida, I believe their only loss is still the Florida State game.
Florida.
Yep.
I mean, not Florida. Miami.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So this is a big game. Whoever wins is going to the inside track. I know North Texas might factor in here. Tulane still got an outside shot.
Yep.
Navy, if they could somehow, Navy is in the same conference, they can beat Notre Dame. It's kind of interesting because I think we all agree Boise's probably out of it this year. So whoever comes out of this like love triangle in AAC is probably going to be the team. So it's going to be interesting. So that's why this game's on here. That's why it matters. If Memphis wasn't coming off a loss, I would be all over South Florida on this. But I feel like I don't know. You guys can go first on this one.
I love South Florida here. I think South Florida is the cream of the crop. Like I said,
Rise to the top.
That they showed us earlier in the year what they're capable of, and since they've kind of gotten out of that tough stretch to start the year, they've really been kind of taking care of business. Byron Brown, absolute stud, 1,700 passing yards, 16 touchdowns. Also has another 500 rushing yards on the ground with another 6 touchdowns. He's got great weapons as far as wideout, like Chad Nimrod. Love that last name. He's got under 500 receiving yards, another 3 touchdowns. They're scoring 41.7 points per game. They're 13th nationally, and as far as offensive rating goes, their defense is 28th in rush defense, which is a part of the game that Memphis kind of utilizes a lot. But I don't have faith in Memphis like I do South Florida. I saw them earlier in the year. I know what they're capable of, and I think this game is honestly going to be in the bag at halftime.
I'm rolling with USF here as well. I agree with Alex. I think Byron Brown is going to be the best quarterback here in this game there. And I think USF is a team that has shown you that they have what it takes to compete at a high level. I do think the Miami game got a little weird. If you remember that game, there was a weather delay in that one as well that, kind of threw off some momentum and things like that. So I don't want to fully hold that game against them. I do think that's more of an anomaly than anything. But USF, they have what it takes in the trenches on both sides of the football. They can attack the passer and get after the passer there as well. So I like USF to take care of business, and I think they are in the driver's seat to make the college football playoff as it stands right now.
There you go.
All right. Where do we go next? Let's go. Did you change the Ole Miss helmets?
No, they're blue. It's on the top left.
I know, but that's not the one we just had on the last graphic.
Oh.
Is it? It might be. Let's check. Let me check. Let's see.
Oh,
yeah.
Changed it.
Yeah, I did change it.
All right, we'll go up there to the new blue helmet Ole Miss.
Bill doesn't like my helmet changing.
I know what you're trying to do. I just don't like it. Going to Norman, Oklahoma played John Mateer and the Sooners, who look like they've rebounded since the Texas Red River rivalry loss. I'll be quick here. Took it on Wednesday. I like Oklahoma here. I know there's been a lot of volleying back and forth with war of the words between the coaches. Lane Kiffin, while he hasn't been negotiating his Florida contract, has accused Brett Venables of stealing signs. There's been a lot of fun stuff this week with this game. Oklahoma at home at Norman. I think that defense is going to be aggressive for Oklahoma. I think they'll get the ball. I think they'll get a bunch of 3-and-outs. I think they'll keep Ole Miss off balance. I think John Mateer, again, starts to look more and more like himself coming back from the injury, the hand injury. I like Oklahoma to win here.
Since John Mateer's been back, and I still am behind their decision to bring him back against Texas. He has not looked the same throwing the ball. Teams, and like I said, because they are still kind of protecting him, they are keeping him in the pocket, not allowing him to really do what John Mateer does best, which is create plays outside of the pocket. And I feel like they should really just, if he's going to play, let him play. But because they're not, Ole Miss is going to win this game. Plain and simple. I got Ole Miss winning this game. I think this is like a 31-24, 31-21 type game. But I think the Ole Miss takes care of business. And I think Oklahoma gets put on the ropes for the rest of the season. And that if Oklahoma lets John Mateer play the way he needs to play and the way he's capable of playing, and just let him say, hey, go be John Mateer, Oklahoma can win this game. But the way that they've been playing John Mateer and what I've seen the last couple of weeks, Ole Miss is going to take care of business. And I don't see them letting off the gas like they did against like they did last week against Georgia. Ole Miss is going to put the pedal to the metal, and they're not going to stop for 4 quarters.
So I actually picked Ole Miss on Wednesday, but that was before all this news about Lane Kiffin had ultimately came out. And so with your guys' acceptance here, I'm actually going to be changing my pick this week. I like Oklahoma.
I'll accept it.
I like Oklahoma in this football game. Look, Alex, I think I agree with a lot of the reasons that you said about the game, but then I can't ignore the fact that, Lane Kiffin had this talk with, I forgot even who he was speaking with, but said Gainesville was always a special place for him. And that's where he met his wife, and he had lived in Florida, and like all this unnecessary information coming out before a big game against Oklahoma. I mean, I think you have so many coaches around the country that have already basically shut down any talks of these big time jobs. Like obviously Signetti signs the big deal. We heard what Shane Beamer said about going to Virginia Tech. You constantly hear of rumblings and things like that during the season, but a lot of times like coaches usually just ignore that or say, hey, we're not going to talk about that till after the season, especially if you're in a position like Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss where you're the number 8 team in the country. So I do think that this is a distraction for that team. I do think they're hearing about it in the media, and I do think that Oklahoma will be able to take advantage of that. So I like Oklahoma in this football game. I think it will be tight, but I think Oklahoma does enough to take care of business at home.
All righty. Last game. Let's go back down to Death Valley. This is a nighttime kick, right?
Correct. 7:30.
7:30 prime time. LSU pretty much in a must-win situation, if you ask me. Mike Elko and the Texas A&M boys come to town. Big game. Texas A&M looking to stay undefeated, stay in the top 5, really stay in the driver's seat in the SEC. LSU, like I said, I think I kind of fighting for their lives, college football playoff lives, maybe Brian Kelly's coaching life. A lot going on here. I'm going A&M. I know I almost never pick against LSU at home, but last week again, the problems they're having on this team are just not getting corrected from week to week. Cottrell mentioned a little bit earlier in recaps. There's certain things they've been doing for the last couple of weeks that they've just not changed or not gotten out of the bad habits. They can't get out of their own way. The playmaking is all off. I would say play calling has not been great. As Cottrell mentioned earlier, Nussmeier has not been the same kid we saw the first 2 weeks of the season. And they don't look like they have an idea how to fix it either, which I think is the more scary part. So I'm going with Texas A&M to go into Death Valley and get a huge statement win for the Aggies.
Yeah, I mean, plain and simple, Texas A&M has just been the more consistent team this year, even going into a hostile environment like LSU. And then, I think that I think it's a close game. I think, it has to be. I think Brian Kelly's definitely got LSU prepped and ready to go for this game. I think that Texas A&M wins something like 28-21. But I do think that Marcel Reed, even though he's the lesser known of the two quarterbacks, I think that I've said this phrase a few times today. I think he's a gamer. Absolutely said. Just under 2,000 yards passing, 62% completion. He got some dual threat, in him. He's that dog on the Texas A&M offense. And I do think that A&M's able to kind of continue this run that they're on, stay undefeated, go 8-0, 5-0 in SEC play, and they take care of business.
Marcel Reed has the opportunity to really throw his name into the hat for the Heisman Trophy. I think right now it's like right on the outside looking in, but against an LSU team on prime time, as number 3 ranked team in the country, I think that's going to give him a rocket strapped to his back if he has a great performance in this one. Alex, you mentioned, his ability to do it with his legs and with his arm there as well. You also mentioned the fact that he is a gamer, and I think those are two, great qualities. And honestly, a lot of times, that's what you look for in terms of QBs that win the Heisman. Typically, not always, but typically they are dual threats. They do it with, their arms and their legs. And they're out there on the biggest stage there where, you see them play in these high level football games, and there's always that Heisman moment. So for me, I'm also rolling with A&M in this one. I think as quiet as it's kept, the wheels are starting to fall off there in Death Valley. They keep losing these tight games. Not like they've been getting blown out or anything like that, but they keep losing. And, at some point, losing is going to be too much for LSU. I think their schedule the rest of the way, they still have some tougher games as well. Like we talked about their schedule earlier, but in this one, they do get weeks backs, which I think will be a huge boost for their defense. But I think A&M's too good on both sides of the ball. So I like A&M to win this game at home, and most likely I think LSU falls out of the top 25, which is kind of wild if you think about it. I know Texas is back now, but if you tell me at the beginning of the year, Texas, LSU, and Penn State would all be unranked by week 10, I would have looked at you like you had 3 eyeballs.
Odds on that would have made you a lot of money. I'll say this: you kind of alluded to it when you talked about it. No one's talking about Texas A&M. No one. They're the number 3 ranked team in the country. Everybody wants to talk about Ohio State, which is fine. They're number 1, but everybody's fallen in love with Curt Cignetti in Indiana. And you got obviously the Georgia and Alabama bias. Just A&M just keeps winning. They don't talk to anybody. They're just hanging around. They're the number 3 ranked team in the country, and no one is talking about them. It's crazy to me. But again, you go to Death Valley, win in prime time against that team. I think that changes a little bit after tonight. So, I hope A&M pulls it out. Alex, anything else in this game?
Nope. Said what I had to say.
Nope. All right. Last but not least, the Fighting Pope Bo Papulas go to Vanderbilt, Nashville, and we're gonna fight the crazy Pavillas. I think a lot of people think this game is going to be a shootout. I have a weird feeling it's lower scoring than people think it's going to be. But this is an enormous game for both teams. Vanderbilt, again, they win this. I think they become a very serious contender to make the college football playoff. They will start getting a lot of casual love from people who don't necessarily have a horse in the race. Missouri can kind of get back on track here if they can go to Vanderbilt and upset them on the road. Gives them a little credibility, gives them a shot in the arm to kind of get back in the rankings and get back, on the right track and possibly make a college football playoff run for their own. Because I believe their schedule down the stretch is very favorable. If I recall when we talked about them earlier in the year. That being said, I don't know if it's going to matter. You can't make me pick against Vanderbilt at home right now. I think Missouri will play better than they did the last 2 weeks, but as much as I like Bo, I'm I'm not going to pick against Pivy at home, so I'm going Vanderbilt to win.
I think it's I think that's bold of you, sir. I do. I think that's very bold. I think that Missouri. I think this is Missouri's year to make some noise. I think Bo Pabula is here to do what he needs to do. I think this is going to be a game of two running quarterbacks. I think that's going to be the highlight of this game. Bo Pabula on the ground, Diego Pavia on the ground. Obviously, like I said, Pavia leads his team in rushing as well. So he's had a huge impact there. But Missouri lost to Alabama by 3. Vanderbilt lost to Alabama by 16. I just think the class and overall. What, Cottrell? You got something to say? I always watch you when I talk because I know you have little side faces. When I look at how these teams can compete and what the things that they bring to the table, I don't think there's a way that Missouri loses this game. I think Missouri takes care of business. I think this is a 10-point win, 31-21. Bo Pabula throws for 200, runs for another 75. I think 3 total touchdowns. And Missouri's total rushing offense just takes care of business. Ahmad Hardy, he's going to score a touchdown today. He's going to go off. He had 250 yards earlier in this season. The last couple weeks, he's been held under 60. I think this is the week where he gets right. I think this is the week where we see him over 100 yards on the ground. Missouri owns the time of possession, controls the line of scrimmage, and is able to run all over Vanderbilt's defense. And that's how I think this game ends. I think this is, like I said, 31-21. Missouri takes care of business.
So, I mean, I can understand like the love with Missouri. Like I definitely can. On the flip side of it, like I can't just act like I didn't see last week's game against Auburn. Like I know they won, but it was a double overtime win, and Bo Pabula looked like a shell of himself. Threw 2 interceptions, did not play well in that football game. And again, I know they won. But to just say that they're going to outclass the Vanderbilt team that just beat LSU, like it's been a tale of 2 different teams the past week, in my opinion. LSU. There, so I think that Vanderbilt is in a spot where Diego Pavia is going to just be the gamer that we know he is. Where there's a will, there is a way. Sometimes it may not even be the right play call, but it's like, all right, it's 3rd and 3. I'm going to just put my head down. I'm going to run around in circles for 5 seconds and find a way to pick up this first down. I think Vanderbilt at home is just a different animal there. And with Missouri, you know what you got to do. You have to find a way to slow down the run. If you let them get going with, you mentioned Hardy. Obviously, we know Bo can do it with his legs there as well. You find a way to slow down those guys and not have it be a true track meet. I think you're in good shape there. Although Vanderbilt, I feel like they're open to the game being a track meet if it ultimately goes that way there. But I like Vanderbilt in this one. I do think it's going to be a closer game. I could see it being a 27-20 or 30-23, something along the lines of that there. But I think Vanderbilt takes care of business at home.
All right, that is previews for this week. We're heading to pick them real quick. I know games are starting to kick off.
So we doing pick them first, or we going to get through the mountain?
Go to the mountain. We want to go to the mountain. You got that right? There we go.
There we go. And then we have the battle for the mountain. Memphis versus USF. Winner gets their spot on the mountain.
It's kind of wild. Tech and Miami get flown off the mountain for 1 loss.
Yeah, they're injured, man. And Miami's.
I mean, I know you want Miami off the mountain as much as possible. I get it. Yeah. But I don't know how Ole Miss isn't with them like that at the same token. But
because Ole Miss is still in the top 10. Still ranked in the top 10. They're still in college football playoff position. Texas Tech is no longer in playoff position. LSU is no longer in playoff position. Tennessee is not in playoff position in Miami.
Well, Tennessee,
Miami.
Tennessee makes sense.
So I
Tennessee
hate Miami,
makes
so
sense.
they're getting off. Right, but I left Ole Miss on there because they're still a top 10 team in the rankings.
Miami is also a top 10.
Yeah, but
team.
I hate Miami. You just said that yourself, so get them off.
Okay, all right, I guess.
But yes, we have a battle for the mountain. I think it's our first ever battle for the mountain. Winner gets to start climbing.
Climbing.
Louisville beats Miami, and they get stuck at base camp still.
At least they're at base camp.
They were at base camp last week.
Yeah, they're still there.
They've been chilling there for a minute.
They're gonna be left behind.
They're resting their legs. They'll catch up. Don't worry.
I will say though, I do respect that. I see Ohio State is in the lead on the mountain, so I will say I will give you at least props for that.
So Missouri's got it now. Hasn't looked too good last 2 weeks. Texas Tech has one loss, and they get put on the chopper.
It's crazy, right? I see the bias here. I see it, but I do appreciate the Florida State tombstone. They've definitely earned that. And Penn State as well. But we knew that. We knew that.
I probably should have put James Franklin there, but I felt a little morbid putting a person's face on a tombstone. So
Fair.
I stayed away from that one. But
right,
no, this is the mountain.
Besides Alex's glaring inconsistencies, do you have any other comments on the mountain?
Nah. It'll be corrected. It'll be corrected here soon. Don't worry.
With time. All right, where are we going? So now we're doing predictions.
Pick them and we're out of here.
Yes, sir. I'll go ahead and throw this up here real quick. Alex taking over Superdog with his pick last week.
Washington State, baby. Played Ole Miss well. I knew they were going to continue that trend.
All right, so I'll go ahead, just go through mine here real quick. My first game being Bowling Green -7.5 at Kent State. Kent State sucks. Bowling Green's actually well coached. They're coming off a good win last week against Toledo. I think 7.5 is a pretty easy number, even on the road. Second game, I like the under 44.5 Texas at Mississippi State. Texas's offense has struggled while their defense is really good. So I think the defense do a good job at slowing down Mississippi State, but you won't see too much scoring in that one. Next game, I got Tennessee -7.5 at Kentucky. I think they try to rebound after a tough loss last week to Alabama, and they cover that spread there. And then for my super dog, I'll take UCLA +25.5 at Indiana. UCLA has been putting up a ton of points, and while I don't think they're going to win the game, I think if they can score, they can definitely cover that 25.5 number.
All right, I will go very quick as well because, like I said, I gave mine on Wednesday. I'm going Ole Miss at Oklahoma. I'm taking the Sooners -4.5. Like I said, I think Mateer looks a little bit better today. Two full weeks out, or actually 3 full weeks out, and I think the defense plays better at home in Norman. So with that, plus the distraction to Ole Miss and how they finished the game last week, I'll take the Sooners. Houston and Arizona State. Arizona State -6.5. I think Houston's been a little bit of a disappointment, and like I said, Arizona State last month has actually played pretty well at home. I think they take care of business. Last but not least, I share the same one Cottrell does. Tennessee. This has been anywhere from -6.5 to 7.5. Doesn't matter what it is, I'll take it. At Kentucky, coming off a tough loss, they got to get going back in the right direction here. Try to turn the ship around in enough time to be ready for the end of the season here. So I like Tennessee on the road against a very poor Kentucky team, and then our super dogs the same. UCLA +33.5 at Indiana. I hope they make enough offensive plays, at least just stay in it and, make Indiana play in the fourth quarter. And if they do, then, I got a chance to steal some super dog points. You're up there, buddy. Oh no, that's a weird time to freeze. Better screenshot that.
Oh, while we're waiting on Alex to come back, Bill, we are already up against it. Our super dog, Indiana, UCLA, I should say. Nico just threw a pick 6 1 minute into the game. So
of course he did.
Indiana's already up 7-0. We show him some when we show him some love there. And just while waiting on Alex to get back as well, other scoring updates. You got Ole Miss already up 3-0 on Oklahoma, and then Memphis is up 7-0 already on South Florida.
I never read into opening drives too much because I feel like a lot of them are always scripted.
For sure.
Pick six is not great. Oh, now he's gone.
For sure. And then the other thing too is I'm pissed that I just saw this afterwards, but apparently Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian has let everyone in his camp and NFL teams know that he is open to going to the NFL and has expressed interest in the open Tennessee Titans head coaching job. So that would be the one. We talked about Penn State being the hottest name on the cycle. If Texas opens up, Texas would take over and take precedent there. And I think that would change a lot of things as far as coaching searches go. One thing I want to mention before we hop off the air.
That's intriguing because I know I said about a certain someone earlier that I don't think he would coach again. That job I could see piquing Urban's interest. I think with what they have there, obviously the resources and the money, that one could be interesting.
All right, we'll go ahead and get Alex back in here.
He's got no arms.
I know. That's what happened. I couldn't turn my computer back on. It just died on me for some reason. Anyway, I'll be real quick here since we went a little bit over. I got Rutgers plus 2.5 at Purdue. Rutgers is just a better team than Purdue. Even on the road, they're going to take care of business. SMU minus 3.5 at Wake Forest. This is the second week in a row I've picked Washington State, but Washington State plus 1.5 versus Toledo. They've competed against a lot of tough teams this year, and Toledo has nothing compared to the teams that they've been playing the last couple of weeks. Washington State at home playing well. I got them covering that 1.5 point spread. And then my super dog is UCLA at Indiana. I feel like that's the smartest pick of the week, and I think that the way UCLA has been playing, they are a true dark horse. We don't know what to expect, and that 34-point spread is crazy with how many questions we have. So those are my picks: Rutgers, SMU, Washington State, and UCLA.
Well, I'm not sure what you heard or what you didn't hear. Nico's already thrown a pick 6 in the UCLA game.
That's okay. 34 points is still 4 more touchdowns, so I'm cool.
Memphis took their opening drive, went down and scored. They're up 7-0 on South Florida. But South Florida is 3rd and goal on the Memphis 3 already. And Ole Miss is up 3-0. And then the surprising news, I don't know if you heard Cottrell talk about it. Steve Sarkisian apparently has let his camp know and Texas know that he is open to NFL jobs and has interest in the Tennessee Titans job. So if that job comes open, like Cottrell said, that would obviously be the best job on the market. That would be really interesting to see who is on the short list of contenders for that job.
Why would you express that in the middle? I just feel like that's terrible. That's terrible.
Because he knows he ain't winning shit with Arch Manning this year. That's
I was about to say, because Texas was 8-0 right now, you may have heard like whispers of it, but like that would have never been a topic of discussion, knowing that. And I'm not even necessarily like, I don't want to just come on here and like just shit on Arch, but like if that is the case and Arch isn't necessarily your guy, Arch is coming back next year. And if he comes back, he has to be your starting quarterback.
Yep.
So if you want to just rid yourself of that and essentially take that leap, because I mean, 2 bad years at Texas at that point, how many people are truly going to want you? So I think he's just saying, hey, we're going to make the most of this as we can, and we're going to use this as our stepping stone and get out of here before it really hits the fan next year.
And I've said it before, dude. I think Sark's gotten a free pass on way too many things, in my opinion. He's a failure at USC. I don't think he's done anywhere near enough at Texas to just be like, just be whatever. And I think he's hamstrung. I mean, unless you got a huge name in the portal, there's no way you get away from March Manning next year. So He is kind of hamstrung there. You're not going to start a freshman, and I don't know who you would have to get. Like you would have to
DJ
get.
Lagway.
Man,
Because if Florida, he could enter the portal at the end of the year. That's
I mean,
could.
you're right. But at the same time, though, like if you're DJ, I'm like, why would I even subject myself to competing with Arch? Like I got to go somewhere where I know I'm the starter without a doubt.
I think it's. I'll even be like, I don't know. There's certain names that would be intriguing, but like again, to Cottrell's point, their name like I feel like if you took like a Julian Sane or even like an Underwood and then went down there, I think the fans down there would be like, yo, like that's the dude. Like we're but like neither one of them are gonna move. So I don't like I can't think of a name off the top of my head that would carry enough weight that Texas would make sense for them to go there. And it would be enough for Sark to be able, like, I'm putting Arch on the bench. So that's a bunch of breaking news. That's very interesting.
All right. Well, I think that's wraps us up.
That's it. Just update South Florida's tied the game already, and Oklahoma is deep in Ole Miss territory as well. So we gotta get out of here. We ran over. Sorry. We just love college football. We can't help it. If we cut Alex's nonsense out, we'd probably be on time, but we can't do that. So,
I mean, I'm not going to argue.
But, gentlemen, any final comments? Love you both. It's going to be another great day of football. Alex, what time do you guys play?
12:30, if I'm not mistaken. No, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock today, but it is going to be a wet one. Like
4 o'clock your time?
Yeah, so 7 y'all's time.
So it's a prime time game for us. Okay.
Yeah, but it's going to be pouring all day here in Oregon. So I'm leaning towards the under and all of Dante Moore's passing stats. And it's going to be a run heavy day for Oregon. And it's going to be fun.
And who are you guys playing?
Wisconsin.
God,
at home. We're wearing our Grateful Dead uniforms today.
I saw that. I did see that.
Yeah, Dante Moore and Decorian Moore have a Nike deal now where they have their own line of Grateful Dead Oregon or Grateful Oregon or however they're calling it. They have a Grateful Dead line with Nike now with Dante Moore and Decorian Moore as the focal point.
That's cool. Nice. Good for them.
Yep.
Wisconsin's another job we probably could have talked about because I don't think Luke Fickle's making it out of this year either. But save that for another episode. Closing comments, anything, gentlemen?
Nope, I got nothing.
Kansas State tied with Kansas 7-7. Let's go Wildcats.
Who gives a shit bowl?
Grateful Dead.
Avery Johnson for Heisman. Let's roll.
There it is. There it is. Led his team to a 3-9 record this year. Here's your Heisman winner.
Deuces. I'm out. No, that's it for me.
That's it. All right. We are done. Have a good weekend. Thank you, everybody. Justin Louder, literally like 200 comments today. Thank you as always. We'll see everybody next weekend.
All right. See you, boys.